How y'all doing? Hope everything is well. Give me 1 second. Hope everything is all good. We start off in this spiritual gumbo like we do all the other ones with a brief overview of what took place the last time. And the book of the Deuteronomy, I really can't stress it enough. I hope you guys get to see that picture. I hope you guys look at that little thumbnail a little bit where you have the heavens and you have the heavens of the heavens and then you have the earth. And put out your mind that it's a circle. Who cares? Because it gives a really good description of what's going on. And you can see the sun and you can see the moon and you can see the stars and you see the earth and you see the water that's above the earth, that's under the heaven of the heavens, but in the heavens. And then you can see the water that's under the earth, right? Now, what's very distinctive about this description is that on the picture, Sheol is on the center of the earth. It's not underneath the earth in the water. It's actually within the earth. I thought that bared some mentioning. Now let me just go ahead and go forth with what took place in the last part. Moses is giving his last hoorah to the people, reminding them of their triumphs and of some of their shortcomings, of the many shortcomings of their fathers and some of themselves, and some even of himself when he speaks to the admission that when you leave from the Jordan, you will not do that which is right in your own eyes. We're not going to do exactly. He says we, but he knows he's not going. Now, Moses is telling the people, hey, look, when you go over here, you need to keep in mind that they worship other deities. So you're going to smash all their stuff and you're going to break it down and you're going to live a truly righteous life and everyone's going to start to flourish. And other nations that are around about are going to hear like, man, you guys see do you see how well they're doing? Right. But they have to keep in conjunction with the laws. They can't just do what they want to do. So when I read one of these verses, just real quick. Verse 2 of chapter 17, right? Because we're in chapter 18. And it says, if there should be found in anyone of thy cities, which the Lord thy God gives thee, a man or a woman, who shall do that which is evil before the Lord thy God, so as to transgress his covenant, and they should go and serve other gods and worship them, the sun or the moon, or any of the host of heaven, which he has commanded thee not to do. And it be told thee, and thou shalt have inquired diligently. So that means that you're going to have actually done the thorough work. You're going to investigate, as they say, right? But this isn't some haphazard investigation. And you don't go around roughing people up and doing anything crazy. You just find out all the truth. And then you come to the conclusion. And then it says, and behold, the thing really took place. This abomination has been done in Israel. Thou shalt bring out that man or that woman, and ye shall stone them with stones, and they shall die. He shall die. He shall die on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. A man who was put to death shall not be put to death for 1 witness. And the hand of the witnesses shall be among him the first to be put to death, and the hand of the people at the last. So shalt thou remove the evil one from among yourselves. Stop right there. Before we move into this next part, people need to really understand that these things sometimes aren't clear. They're not just black and white, as they like to say. So let's just read this next part, just in case people think that the Most High God is going to skip out on justice or righteousness. And if a matter shall be too hard for thee in judgment between blood and blood, hold on, and between cause and cause, and between stroke and stroke, and between contradiction and contradiction, matters of judgment in your cities, then thou shalt arise and go up to the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt come to the priests of the Levites and to the judges who shall be in those days, and they shall search out the matter and report the judgment to thee. Hear me? So now they're going to go back and do their own investigation. So, for a want of a better way of saying this, the local authorities, somebody who's an authority to some degree, is enforcing what these witnesses are saying, right? Or they can't enforce what these witnesses are saying. Otherwise, they'd have been stoned already, man or woman. So what happens is that they go to a judge or they go to the priest, and then or possibly both, and they search out the matter. And what they do is they say, okay, look, what you have to do is look for what happened and find out if this really took place. Now, and it says, and thou shalt act according to the thing which they shall report to thee out of the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt observe to do all whatsoever shall have been appointed to thee. Thou shalt do according to the law and to the judgment which they shall declare to thee. And thou shalt not swerve to the right hand or to the left from any sentence which they shall report to thee. And the man whosoever shall act in haughtiness, so as not to hearken to the priest who stands to minister in the name of the Lord thy God, or the judge who shall preside in those days, that man shall die, or woman, right on. And thou shalt remove the evil one out of Israel. And all the people shall hear and fear, and there shall be and shall no more commit impiety. Stop right there. The whole point of what Moses is telling the people before they go across is, hey, look, the ultimate offense is going to be deity worship of someone other than the Most High. So if you can't let the Most High God be your God, right on, and he's not going to be your God, is what he's saying, right? Then those people need to die. They have to die. They can't continue to be on. And I know people are like, this is crazy. I'm like, this is what Moses is telling these people, man. So don't blame me. Now that we have the idea that there's going to be punishment there's an idea that you're supposed to get punished if you break ranks. That's the idea. Can't stress that enough. Now let's just keep reading, because it's going to pick up about the Levites. Okay. And this is going to be a big thing. The priest, the Levites, even the whole tribe of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. The burnt offerings of the Lord are their inheritances. They shall eat them, and they shall have no inheritance among their brethren. The Lord himself as his portion, as he said to him. The Lord himself is his portion, as he said to him. Verse 3. And this is due of the priest and the things coming from the people from who those offer sacrifices, whether it be a calf or a sheep, and thou shalt give the shoulder to the priest, and the cheeks, and the great intestine. What? And the great intestine. Okay, so that obviously is something that the people are going to cook later and do something with, probably make sausages or something like that. Come on. Why not? How hard is it to make sausages in one day once you have the meat and the cook? Anyway, I don't want to get too carried away, but I want to give some gravitas as to why they would want the large intestine. Verse 4, and the first fruits of thy corn and of thy wine and of thine oil, and thou shalt give to him the first fruits of the fleeces of thy sheep. So he's talking about when you shave your sheep, right? You're going to give him the nicest stuff of all that. So you're going to, and this is to the priest. So all the things that are mentioned just then, from the calf or the sheep, right? The parts of the animal being the shoulder, the cheeks, and the great intestine, and the first fruits of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thine oil. Thou shalt give him the first fruit of the fleeces of thy sheep, because this is what people wear normally. Because the Lord has chosen him out of all thy tribes to stand before the Lord thy God, to minister and bless in his name himself and his sons among the children of Israel. And if a Levite come out, and if a Levite come from one of the cities of all the children of Israel, where he himself dwells, accordingly as his mind desires, to the place which he shall have chosen, and by that word, he shall, or God shall have chosen, he shall minister to the name of the Lord his God, as all his brethren, the Levites, who stand there present before the Lord thy God. So stop right there. So there was a little moment real quick where he has to tell the people, like, wherever the Most High God chooses, this is the same area where people are going to bring their sacrifices. Where, remember, if it's too far to get to, then certain sacrifices you can do in the city, but certain things you just have to sell something. You have to sell, get the money, go out there, and then buy the things that are out there, and then do the sacrifice in that place. And he's saying that in that place is where the Levites are going to minister. The main, hierarchy of the priesthood, So there's going to be Levites in all these cities, but in the main place is probably going to be where the sons of Aaron are at. I'm just going to throw that out there. It just makes sense. It seems like it's justified. He shall minister to the name of the Lord his God, as all his brethren, the Levites, who stand there present before the Lord thy God. He shall eat an allotted portion besides the sales of his hereditary property. And thou shalt have entered into the land which the Lord thy God gives thee. And thou shalt not learn to do according to the abominations of those nations. Now, before we move on to verse 10, I just thought it'd be important to point out to you that this is the one tribe. So these are the people. And I'm not saying that a fat black person is a Levite nowadays, but back then, right? Because they're the royal priesthood, right? And you know that people say that, opulence or being handsome or fat was a sign of regality, right? Royalty. So it would be believable that the priests, especially the guys highest up, are thick, to say the least. But let me go ahead and keep it pushing. Verse 8 again, just so that way we can really put that in our minds. He shall eat an allotted portion besides the sales of his hereditary property. So he's saying, besides what you sell off your own flock and then, eat from whatever, he's saying that these guys are going to eat the portion that they're allotted from all these sacrifices as well. So they're eating more than regular people do. I'm just throwing that out there. And when thou shalt have entered into the land which the Lord thy God gives thee, thou shalt not learn to do according to the abominations of those nations. So you're not going to do the hateful things unto the Most High when you get there. Verse 10, there shall not be found in thee one who purges his son or his daughter with fire. One who uses divination or divines, listen, who deals with omens and augury, a sorcerer employing incantation, or who has in him a divining spirit, an observer of signs, questioning what? Listen, questioning the dead. Sit it down, y'all. Come on. And they talking to the ancestors. Don't worry, I'm a bing bop everybody while I'm at it. I'm killing these modern day movements with something written thousands of years ago. And they claim their ancestors wrote this. So understand, they have no root to their ancestors because they can't even realize their ancestors told you, don't try to do stuff like that. Come on. Woo! Who's putting the feet on them today? If they were grapes, they'd be wine right now. Do you understand that? Tasty wine, red wine. They're funny. They don't know. They don't know. Let's just keep reading because they think that they know something about the Most High God. For everyone that does these things is an abomination to the Lord thy God. For because of these abominations, the Lord will destroy them from before thy face. Thou shalt be perfect before the Lord thy God. For all these nations whose land thou shalt inherit, they will listen to omens and divinations. But the Lord thy God has not permitted thee so to do. Stop right there. All these sucker butts who running around here doing whatever they can do what they like. You can't. That's what sets you apart. That's what makes you better and peculiar. You're not better because you're bigger and badder than them. No, 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 no. You're better because you will operate, you will move a certain way. See, these people believe in omens and divinations, augury. You know, like when like birds fly by or like a cat crosses them. Like they believe in. I don't believe in no cat crossing my path. I don't care about none of that. That's just an animal. To me, maybe not to everyone else. When I was a child, sure, superstitious, whatever you call that, was taught that. Right. That's not who I am though. And I'm like not superstitious these days, but there's things that I do believe that you shouldn't do. It's beyond symbology. It's a frequency thing. So it has nothing to do with etiquette that they've ever taught you. However, having said that, how many people do you know right now are saying that they need to talk to the ancestors? That's what we all need to be doing. Think about it. Major. Think about how many major people right now calling themselves conscious or, higher frequency thinkers, whatever they want to, permeate to their audience, right? Because it's no different. The people who practice these things are the same people who say certain things in other arenas, whether they think people are alpha or high value or whatever, or dusty, you know what I mean? Because they do all these types of things. They talking to devils right now. Don't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody want to give me. Don't look. It's okay. While I'm living, they ain't gonna give me my flowers. They want me to die, so they can give me my flowers. It's okay. The Most High God gonna vindicate me while I live. Watch. The Lord thy God shall raise up to thee a prophet of thy brethren like me. Him shall ye hear, according to all things which thou didst desire of the Lord thy God in Coreb, in the day of the assembly, saying, we will not again hear the voice of the Lord thy God, and we will not any more see this great fire, and so we shall not die. And the Lord said to me, they have spoken rightly all that they have said to thee. I will raise up to them a prophet of their brethren like thee. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm just speaking about being vindicated. Don't worry. The Most High God is going to bring people up. It don't have to be me. I'm chilling. There's somebody right now, y'all, who the Most High God is molding that you don't know, but I can feel it. I know it. I know it. They're on their way. Don't worry. Somebody. It doesn't need to be me. I love that idea. See, and that's what scares people the most. Is because you will be terrified of somebody who was greater than I saying the same things that I'm saying. Don't worry. Someone's going to vindicate me one day. And the Lord said to me, verse 17, they have spoken rightly all that they have said to thee. I will raise up to them a prophet of their brethren like thee, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them as I shall command him. And whatever man shall not hearken to whatsoever words that prophet shall speak in my name, I will take vengeance on him. But the prophet whosoever shall impiously speak in my name a word which I have not commanded him to speak. And whosoever shall speak in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. The ungodly. Just in case you didn't know what impious is. Pious is godly. Right on. Don't worry. It's going to happen, y'all. I know it. I haven't read the Deuteronomy, so can't nobody say I know that was coming. I hadn't even looked down to read that. Just so happened to be feeling some type of way. It's just words on the page, though. I didn't write this. Don't worry. Somebody gonna come up one day. I know it. They could only pray that he doesn't raise me from the dung pile. That's all. And whatever man shall not hearken to whatsoever words that prophet shall speak in my name, I will take vengeance on him. But the prophet whosoever shall impiously speak in my name, a word which I have not commanded him to speak, and whosoever speak in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. Don't worry. I'm calling the people right now who were calling on the people to speak to these things, prophets. Some of them really are. How else could they lead the people astray? Don't worry. I'm not even going to say them by name and who they are. They know who they are. They have no idea. They have no idea what they do right now. But they bring death on themselves slowly. Only the way that the Most High God can do it. I haven't spoke death on them. He spoke death on them. And I am just here to vindicate that by speaking it out loud. But if thou shalt say in thine heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord has not spoken? Verse 22. Whatsoever words that prophet shall speak in the name of the Lord, and they shall not come true and not come to pass, this is the thing which the Lord has not spoken. Wow. So for guys like, God told me, come on, way different from me being like, I got a pretty good feeling about this. Right. Way different. Don't worry. They'll learn one day. They have no discernment or circumspect, so I can't help that. I'm trying to lend what little I have to them. Maybe they'll grow like that. Can grow together. But I'm still looking to grow regardless. That prophet has spoken wickedly. Ye shall not spare him. Stop right there before we go into chapter 19. You realize that the Most High God is like, yo, somebody says something that I don't, that they say that this God said. So you got people talking about the Ruach, it's all on them, right? And what it told them to tell the people. All right. Don't worry. My God said for me to read this. This is why I'm telling y'all, something told me not to read the Deuteronomy before and get the preface to it. This is one of my better read books in the entire scripture. I've said that before. But the Genesis is my best. There's no competition between which book of the Bible I have the best understanding in. That I know for a fact. It's the Genesis. There's no doubt. Having said that, Deuteronomy doesn't rival it close at second, but it's probably like my second book or third or something. But it's high up there for my top 10 books that I have pretty well locked in, And all the other books, I'm not scatterbrained, but I have to read certain things and then it'll come to me. I didn't remember that was right there, but the Most High God is going to raise up a prophet. He's talking to the people about this, but I'm just reminding y'all what they're afraid of, right? The Black Messiah, right? No, just the Messiah, right? Of our people. That's what they're afraid of right now. A prophet, an anointed one, a true anointed one that the Most High God has picked and had chosen. That terrifies them more than anything. Nothing scares them more than the fact that one man could move this entire needle for them. That terrifies them. That I'm just standing here in the crossroads waiting for this person to get here, because what else is there to do but to stand back and watch? But don't worry, as we continue to read and get ready to get done, by the time we get done today, I might leave 10 whole chapters or 9 whole chapters, but I'm gonna leave at least 8. So that way when I do part 5, it's done. That's it. Then we just do a review, and then we do an ultimate review. And then we see where to go from the Bible. That's why I'm kind of dragging it out. Because I'm like, don't nobody know. Like, I've got nothing more to do. I've read from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, up until now. We're in the Deuteronomy. I just thought I'd just throw that out there again. People forget. People forget. They didn't do this. And I know the Most High God is going to vindicate me. I know it while I live. Verse 1 of chapter 19. And when the Lord thy God shall have destroyed the nations which God gives thee, even the land, and ye shall inherit them, and dwell in their cities, and in their houses, thou shalt separate for thyself 3 houses. You see, 3 cities in the midst of thy land, which the Lord thy God gives thee. Take a survey of thy way, and thou shalt divide the coast of thy land, which the Lord thy God appropriates or apportions to thee, into 3 parts. And there shall be there a refuge for every manslayer. The manslayer is the person who kills someone on accident. Can't stress it enough. All right. Perfect example, prime example would be a man is working in a mine with another man. Man strikes a very loose rock, doesn't realize that this rock is connected to a larger chain of rocks. Okay. And as he does that, this rock releases, several other rocks release, and it kills the man who's in the mine with him. He goes and tells the people what happened. He flees the land because one of the men's brothers is a great warrior in the army of the king. He's like a captain of the host or something like that, or a captain of the guard. He don't want no problem with this dude. So he's like, let me go ahead and just, me, my wife, everybody, I got to take what I can, and I have to leave. And then they have to wait for the priest to pass away in order for him to come back. Hope that the idea is that let's say a priest lives another 20 years, 30 years, right? 30 years later, the hope is that there's no longer any bad blood, but that's not always going to be the case. Verse 4, and this shall be the ordinance of the manslayer, who shall flee thither and shall live. Excuse me. Whosoever shall have smitten his neighbor ignorantly, whereas he hated him not in times past, or before yesterday and the 3rd day. What it's saying is that you can't have ever had beef with this dude and then be like, it was an accident. It's not going to look, it doesn't look good, bruh. Right. So this is another reason why you are supposed to make amends with people. You're supposed to be cool with people. You're supposed to, forgive. You don't have to forget. But when you forgive somebody, there's a level of leeway and trust that you allot to them. And it's like, this doesn't sound right. It sounds like you struck them in the head on purpose with the shovel or with the hammer, or it looks like you trampled them on purpose with your horse. You follow what I'm saying? It's things like that that people don't want to hear, and they have to come to terms with. Where we at? Verse 5, and whosoever shall enter with his neighbor into the thicket to gather wood, if the hand of him cuts the wood with the axe, shall be violently shaken, and the axe head falling off from the handle should light off the neighbor, should should light on his neighbor, and he should die, he shall flee to one of the cities and live, lest the avenger of blood pursue after the slayer, because his heart is hot, and overtake him, if the way be too long, and slay him or smite his life, though there is to this man no sentence of death, because he hated him not in time past. Therefore I charge thee, thou shalt separate thyself 3 cities. Now, did you hear that? Listen. Lest the avenger of blood pursue after the slayer, because his heart is hot, and overtake him, if the way be too long, and slay him, though there is to this man no sentence of death, because he hated him not in time past. What that's saying is that, look, you killed the dude on accident, wasn't on purpose. It gave us a abominable example. You're striking some wood, the axe handle flies off, hits dude, cracks him in his head, right? You're like, I was hitting this wood here, it broke off, and it killed him. Word, bang. Hey, look, means that nothing's perfect, right? But it was giving us a prime example, and it said, look, if the person's not willing to forgive them, and they track him down and they kill him, that's it. That dude is not, there's nothing you can do about that. Right. He's not supposed to just, you don't have to just let somebody live. That's that. There is no, so if you kill this person, guess what? Somebody now has the right to kill you now, because you're not a righteous avenger of blood. Thank you. So before people start saying stupid things, but that's what I was trying to tell people. This is how those perpetual cycles of bloodshedding began, because somebody can't accept that, well, my people did it on accident. Accident or not, it happened. Right. It happened. So what? They're supposed to just let that go? That person's dead. They're never coming back. In essence, whoever killed them deserves to die. Doesn't matter what you say. This is why I always laugh, because people who kill people all deserve to die. The only time you don't deserve to die when you kill someone is if they were trying to kill you and you weren't trying to kill them, and you didn't do anything worthy of them trying to kill you. If you did something in times past, okay, that is worth taking your life over, you deserve that. No matter how you feel about it. That's what it is. Right. And people have a hard time hearing the truth because they want it to go their way. They want it to be what they want it to be. Right. People want to talk to the ancestors and then claim that the Most High God is blessing them. All out the same mouth. On one side of their neck. Come on. They don't even need both sides. They've mastered the art of one side neck talking. It's crazy. They can put all that garbage on one side. It's crazy. It's okay, though, because they'll realize that they didn't do the right thing. Normally when it's too over. You know what I'm saying? You know, normally when it's way too over. Normally when it's way too late, they're going to realize that, oh, yeah, we probably should have did a little more for ourselves. Let's just keep reading, though. Therefore, I charge thee, saying, thou shalt separate for thyself 3 cities. 3 cities give somebody a better chance of running away from somebody who's trying to find them. You got to bounce around from city to city to city, but hopefully they just get tired of looking for you. Had to put some humanization on that for you. Because there's people who ain't going to stop looking. They are, like, I got nothing better to do. And they got some money, right? They got resources. Everything is taken care of. They're not even tripping. They're like, I'm going to handle this. And if the Lord shall enlarge thy borders, as he sware to thy fathers, and the Lord shall give to thee all the land which he would give to thy fathers, if thou shalt hearken to do all these commands which I charge thee this day, to love the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways continually, thou shalt add for thyself yet 3 cities to these 3. So innocent blood shall not be split in the land. So innocent blood shall not be spilt in the land. which the Lord thy God gives thee to inherit, and there shall not be in thee one guilty of blood. But if there should be in thee a man hating his neighbor, and he should lay wait for him, and rise up against him, and smite him, that he should die, and he should flee to one of these cities, then shall the elders of his city send and take him thence, and they shall deliver him into the hand of the avengers of blood, and he shall die. So it's not just one person. Look, they're like, whoever's riding on you, bruh. I need y'all to understand this. See, let me go ahead and just talk about some modern day stuff. If any of these black people really read the Bible and believe in what the Most High God said, I guarantee police officers wouldn't be killing black people the way that they do. Because it ain't got nothing to go. It has nothing to do with nothing to do with going toe to toe to avenge the blood that is righteously. Come on, to avenge the blood righteously. Come on, come on, come on. Can I get a hallelujah from somebody when they watch this video? When they hear that? Can you dig it? Because I rate that. I rate that one. The Most High God rates that one. It is blood for blood. Blood for blood is the law, and I won't back down from that. Never. Anybody who won't say it, won't show their face and say it, cowards, get behind me. All you can do is watch my six, because I'm in tip of the spear on this. It is blood for blood. That's the law. There is nothing else. There is no forgiveness of blood. Did you hear me? There is no forgiveness of blood. Never. Let's read that part again. But if there should be in thee a man hating his neighbor, and he should lay wait for him, and rise up against him, and smite him, that he die, and he should flee to one of these cities, then shall the elders of his city send, and take him thence, and they shall deliver him into the hands of the avengers of blood, and he shall die. Thine eyes shall not spare him, so thou purge innocent blood from Israel. So shalt thou purge innocent blood from Israel, and it shall be well with thee. Thou shalt not move landmarks of thy neighbor, which thy father set in the inheritance. So you don't get to change how much land you have all of a sudden. In which thou hast obtained a share in the land which the Lord thy God gives thee to inherit. One witness shall not stand to testify against any man for any iniquity, or for any fault, or for any sin which he may commit. By the mouth of two witnesses, or by the mouth of three witnesses, shall every word be established. And if an unjust witness rise up against a man, alleging iniquity against him, then shall the two men between whom the controversy is stand before the Lord, and before the priest, and the judges, who may be in those days. Did you hear that word? The controversy. Come on. Come on. Right. Come on, the contradiction of words. Come on, of claims. If you really want to say it, because that's really what the controversy is. That's really, if you really want to break it down, true controversy. Right. That's what it's. Come on, let's just break it down without getting carried away into etymology. See, this is little things like this that people have to respect and understand. We're almost to chapter 20. Don't worry, we're steaming. Once again, that's why I just have to take my time, because I'd be steaming through the scripture. They don't know. And if an unjust witness rise up against a man, alleging iniquity against him, then shall the two men between whom the controversy is stand before the Lord, and before the priest, and before the judges, who made diligent, in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquiry, and behold, if an unjust witness has borne unjust testimony, and has stood up against his brother, then shall ye do to him as he wickedly devised to do against his brother, and thou shalt remove the evil from yourself. Stop right there. You see how this is how I know that people don't understand that the white man didn't write this book, because he does not live by these statutes, these ordinances, this way. It's not his way, man. It's not his way, man. It's not how he gets down, man. And y'all know it. And it makes me angry because you have too many people who don't want to hear. Like, did you hear how simple that is? If it comes to find out that this person, so if you tried to witness to get this dude put to death, you're getting put to death. If you tried to witness that this man said that, oh, he raped a woman, right on, and the whatever the penalty is, right? Because you got to understand, the penalty is not just you paying for the dowry. It's whatever they think the value is, right? So what if they had agreed to beating this dude half to nothing, and then he owed all this other stuff? Still had to make these sacrifices and all that. But that's not even what happened. He's like, I didn't even rape this chick. He's like, I don't even know her. I don't even know her. Right. It's things like that. They're like, yo, everybody who tried to do that, they whatever they tried to say that he deserved, thank you, they're gonna get that. They're gonna get that. And it doesn't matter who does it. See, this is why when King David did what he did, and I'm gonna speak some righteousness and some justice real quick. If King David had anybody around him who was truly just, they would have told on King David. King David would have been stoned to death. They would have stoned old girl to death, right on. And then the most righteous of King David's seed would have naturally inherited the throne. Come on. But because he placated himself, and the Most High God said, you know what? Okay, I'll abdicate that. Okay, but I'm going to have to increase this right here with mass invigoration. Meaning your house is never going to escape the sword. You brought destruction onto your people through adultery. King David was supposed to be killed, y'all, no matter how you put that. Righteous in his heart and all, righteous in all of his ways, save for in the matter of Urias the Hittite. Don't ever forget that. Don't you ever placate King David to where in which that he didn't do something that was punishable by death. Because he did that. After another man's woman, he's the king that could have had any woman, and wants this man's woman. And the craziest part is the man's not even an Israelite. So it's like, if you didn't want the man to be around, he didn't even have to be around your people to be with one of your people. You created that situation by having this hodgepodge army. It's okay. Don't worry about it. He created that situation. And Israel paid dearly for it. Dearly for it. It all played out in the matters of civil wars in the years to come. You see, I could claim that even he felt his mortality and was scared. And the Most High God said, you know what? I'll weigh all the good things you did, all the righteous things you did against this one terrible thing, which you do deserve to die, and I'll blot it out. But when I read stuff like that, I just need y'all to understand. It is no little thing. It is no little thing to be abdicated, to be extricated from justice, okay? To be exonerated from justice. The people are still getting busted down to this day. Just keep reading. I don't hate King David. I love King David. I really do. Dawood, how people want to call him. Some people even call him like Eliab or something like that. He has they think he has like this other name. I don't think that's him. I just think it's another guy from a very similar situation and circumstance who did a very similar thing, like a lot of those guys did back then. I could be wrong. Thine eye shall not spare him. Whoa. Let's read that part again. And the judges, verse 18, shall make diligent inquiry, and behold, if an unjust witness has borne unjust testimony and has stood up against his brother, then shall ye do to him as he wickedly devised to do against his brother. And thou shalt remove the evil from yourselves. And the rest shall hear and fear and do no more according to this evil thing in the midst of you. Thine eye shall not spare him. Thou shalt exact life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. It doesn't say it there, but listen. Now I'm going to talk again. Did y'all not hear? It's blood for blood, y'all. If you're telling me that taking out somebody's tooth, taking out their eye, to chopping off their hand or their foot doesn't produce blood, it does. Doesn't have to say that, but I know that. It's blood for blood, y'all. If you shed blood, your blood gets shed. That's just all there is to it. There's no two ways about it. And if thou should go to, and this is why when I talk about this whole continuity and like unit cohesion, small unit cohesion, you have to have it at the smallest level. There is no group cohesion. See, this is why I get mad when people try to take stuff and don't know what the heck they're talking about. Okay, you cannot have, all right, herd cohesion if there is no small unit cohesion. That is a must. The mother and the father and the children must be on a similar to same page, yo, for them to be able to operate within the community productively. See, this is what people don't understand. I'm trying to tell the folks something. We're coming up on chapter 20. Here we are. And if thou should goes forth in war, if thou should goes forth to war against thine enemies, and shouldest see horse and rider, and the people more numerous than thyself, thou shalt not be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee, who brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall come to pass, whenever thou shalt draw nigh to battle, that the priest shall draw nigh and speak to the people and say to them, Hear, O Israel, ye are going this day to battle against your enemies. Let not your heart faint. Fear not, neither be confounded, neither turn aside from their face. For it is the Lord your God who advances with you, to fight with you against your enemies, and to save you. And the scribes shall speak to the people, saying, What man is he that has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in war. And another man dedicated. And what is a man that has planted a vineyard and has not made merry it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man be made merry with it. And what is a man that has betrothed a wife and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man take her. Wow! Basic sense. If you started to build a house, if you built it, you haven't lived in it, go live in your house. If you planted a vineyard and haven't drank from it yet, go do that. If you just got married and haven't even laid down with your wife, go ahead and go do that. Get up out of here. What sense does it make for you to get killed, okay, and for somebody else to go do that? Somebody else who wanted to get with her anyway, been making eyes at her anyway. You guys better understand, man. Listen, this is all basic sense, but people don't want to hear that it's basic sense. Right. Can't give this all. Look, anyway, did you hear that? Don't be scared. Just don't be scared. Never scared of these guys. Because you're not doing the real major fighting. It's the Most High God who's doing most of the fighting. Right. I told y'all that frequency, that omnipresent magnetic conscious force, right? That frequency that he is, right? He's like, I'm out here riding. Please. Who's going to get in his way? How did you think regular sized people beat 40, 50 foot tall giants? And everybody was terrified of them. Because they were like, the only way they could do this is if the creator of everything. Because they all worship deities. See, this is why when silly, nonsensical, dog drool speaking people say things like, oh, those people they invented gods. Really? For what purpose? If you already have all the power, what need is that you can how could you think of a concept that doesn't exist, man? If it's not real already. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. The dumbest thing I ever heard. It is literally illogical and it goes against the processes of life. Guess how? You can't tell me that there's people, one man and one woman, it takes to make a child. There is no other formula for it. They can say a test tube, this, that, and the other. Where'd they get the genetic material? You can't make. They can't make something out of nothing, y'all. They don't have that ability. I need people to stop thinking like that. Most High God is like, I'm smashing on everybody, and I'm gonna let y'all just ride my coattail. That's not written there, but that's what's happening. He's killing all the giants because he's like, I've been wanting to do this anyway. Did you hear that? You have less horsemen, they're lesser people, they're bigger than you, stronger looking, hardy looking. Don't be afraid. So listen, there's going to be even less people because the scribes are telling them what? Hey man, go ahead and get up out of here, man, if you haven't did these things. And the scribe shall speak further to the people and say, what is a man that fears and is cowardly in his heart? What? What is a man that fears and is cowardly in his heart? Come on, let him go and return to his house, lest he make the heart of his brother fail as his own. And it shall come to pass when the scribe shall have ceased speaking to the people, that they appoint generals of the army to be the leader of the people. Generals, not one, but several, many, to be the leaders of the people. And thou shalt draw nigh to a city, and if thou shalt draw nigh to a city to overcome them by war, then call them out peaceably. And if they should answer peaceably to thee and open to thee, it shall be that all the people found in it shall be tributary and subject to thee. But if they will not hearken to thee, but wage war against thee, thou shalt invest it until the Lord thy God shall deliver into thy hands, and thou shalt smite every male with the edge of the sword, except the woman and the stuff and all the cattle and whatever shall be in the city. And all the plunder that thou shalt take as spoil for thyself, and thou shalt eat all the plunder of thine enemies, whom the Lord thy God gives thee. Stop right there, because I'm about to bust this whole American mythology across the head real quick. Did you know it is logically unsound and logistically at this point, you would say that they're pretty much retarded, I guess. If the scripture's telling you, you kill all the dudes, keep the women. It says the stuff. It could have said something a long time ago, but let's just say that the word stuff is there. I can live with that. Follow this. If white people were who they claim they were, there would be nobody else on earth, y'all. Do y'all understand that? Do y'all really get that? There would just be mixed looking people. That would be it. And white people. That's it. There would be nothing else. If they could produce, once again, if the seed of a white man and a black woman is hardier than the seed of a black man and a white woman, then why if what everybody says about slavery is even partially true, a quarter true, why is it that black women don't head over heels get married to white men and have a bunch of babies by them? But it's by and large black men that do this. I want y'all to really understand that little line right there bust wide open the whole head of people who try to say things that just don't make sense. The Most High God is like, it's okay. You can breed them. You don't need them. Think about that. You don't need them. You don't need these men to be your slaves or nothing. You don't need them for anything. Right. That's what people are so displaced, man. And they really are, they should get their heads checked. Because I read this to put it into perspective of the time that is being spoken, but also to relate to the time that we live in now. And people can't tell me that I'm wrong, or that I'm lying. There's no way that I'm lying about what I just said. If the white man was even half of what he claims he was, they would have sent people over here to tell the natives what they were up to. And the natives would have had a chance to fight these dudes right there. Come on, man, think about this. They're not conquerors or anything like that. They came here begging people for a chance to live. Whew. And yet they claim that they're somehow the so-called Jews claim that they're somehow they could anyway, they didn't anyway. They didn't even take back so-called Israel that way. They did it through nefarious means. None of this stuff, none of what people try to say about modern day things makes these people who they say they are. In fact, it makes it even more logically understood that they're not who they say they are. That's the only finding that a sensible, sound person can come to. That's it. There's no other reasoning you could deduce other than these folks who claim to be these folks are not these people. Now here we go. Now note that if they let you in, you're just going to force them to pay tribute. You're not going to kill everybody. But if they don't let you in and they come out set tripping, then you're going to invest being that you're going to stay there and you're going to lay siege to them. And whatsoever shall be in the city and all the plunder, thou shalt take as spoil for thyself, and shalt eat all the plunder of thine enemies, whom the Lord thy God gives thee. Thou shalt do to all the cities that are very far off from thee, not being of the cities of these nations which the Lord thy God gives thee to inherit their land. Of these ye shall not take anything alive, but ye shall surely curse them: the Kittite, the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, and the Evite, and the Jebusite, and the Girgasite, as the Lord commanded, as the Lord thy God commanded thee, that they may not teach you to do all their abominations, which they did to their gods, and so ye should sin before the Lord your God. And if thou shouldest besiege a city, or one city many days, to prevail against it by war to take it, thou shalt not destroy its trees by applying an iron tool to them, but thou shalt eat of it, and thou shalt not cut it down. Is the tree that is in it is the tree that is in the field of a man to enter before thee into the work of the sheep? Is the tree that is in the field of a man to enter before thee into the work of the siege? And I think it's pretty much just asking, like, because it's saying, okay, it's pretty much saying, like, because the word right there before thee it says against thee. So it's saying that the tree's not your enemy. Okay. You get what I'm saying? I'm a really break that down real simple. It's saying, is the tree there as your enemy? No. So don't cut it down. Eat from it. Right. Now, this is just when you go up to go siege against it. You're supposed to cut all that stuff down after you take it all over, let it regrow back. See, this is little small things. But the Most High God is like, yeah, while you need food to eat, you have to feed your troops. So why would you cut down a tree that has viable produce on it? That's stupid. And if you happen to be there for, let's say, a year, that tree's going to go into season and out of season at least once. You'll have gotten there, let's say, before it was in season. So you'll have gotten it at least once, one time, maybe even twice. One moment, y'all. Hello? Hey, yo, can I call you back, please? Yes, sir. Can I call you back? I'm a little busy. Thank you. That's just me being patient. Thank you for being patient with me. So where were we just at? Not cutting down trees that you can eat, not getting rid of your food, right? Um, so why would you, once again, if you're fighting against somebody, why would you cut down trees that you could feed your troops with? It just doesn't make sense. It's just not logically sound. So when the white man came here, cutting down everything, just destroying everything, it goes against what's logically sound. Destroying entire animal populaces for the sake of trying to starve out your enemy and extincting them makes no sense. It goes against all logical processes. This is why they're being told how to go about the warfare a certain way. You don't kill everybody in certain places. And I'm going to really contend that these are more or less the Philistines and people who related to that bloodline, because everybody that just got mentioned, they're all Canaanites. The Kittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite himself, the Perizzite, the Girgashite, the Evite, the Jebusite, they're all Canaanites. They're all children of Canaan. So the Most High is like, then you're going to kill them. There's no mercy. And you can say this is black on black crime, whatever you want to say. Most of these people are genetically corrupted to the point to where they can't be saved. Right. And not only that, but they're morally corrupted. Right. And they're devoid of any kind of real righteous behavior. So there's no need in trying to redeem them. Just kill them and get it over with. These are not good people. Once again, when you go in and you're seen as a liberator, there's people who were good people there. Right. Who are not going to leave. They're just going to stay there. But there's people who were trash dogs. If they would have done it right, they would have left. They would have had no choice but to leave, because they'd have been like, man, I'm tired of these so-called children of Israel and the way they live. It's just too much. They're way too high sedity for me. I got to go somewhere a little more grimy. Right. So if you really want to look at how the Most High God was trying to put his people up to be, you can call them pretentious, you can call them whatever. Right. But they were supposed to be people who had something, and they're warriors, okay? And they're faithful. Perfect people. That's what they were supposed to be. Supposed to be. Where are we at? Verse 20. But the tree which thou knowest not to be not fruit bearing, this thou shalt destroy and cut down, and thou shalt construct a mound against the city which makes war against thee, until it be destroyed. And if one be found slain with the sword in the land, which the Lord thy God gives thee to inherit, having fallen in the field, and they do not know who has smitten him, thine elders and thy judges shall come forth, and shall measure the distances of the city round about the slain man. And it shall be that the city is nearest to the slain man, the elders of that city shall take a heifer of the herd, which has not labored, and which has not borne a yoke, which has not been under any kind of labor intense work at all. It's a young baby. And the elders of the city shall bring down the heifer into a rough valley, which has not been tilled and is not sown. So there's rocks, kind of everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Weeds and stuff like that growing up. Rough valley, right? And they shall slay the heifer or cut the sinews of the neck. And the priest of the Levites shall come down because the Lord thy God has chosen them to stand by him and to bless in his name. And when it says in his name, it says his name. And by their word or at their mouth shall every controversy and every stroke be decided. And all the elders of that city who draw nigh to the slain man shall wash their hands over the head of the heifer, which was slain in the valley. And they shall answer and say, our hands have not shed this blood, our eyes have not seen it. Be merciful to thy people Israel, whom thou hast redeemed, O Lord, that innocent blood may not be charged on thy people Israel. Excuse me. And the blood shall be atoned for them. And thou shalt take away the innocent blood from among you, if thou shouldest do that which is good and pleasing before the Lord thy God. Now stop right there. Let me break this down. What just happened? What is being told to the people? Let's say you go out one day, right? Riding your horse, bam, or your ass or your mule, whatever, right? And you pull up and you see somebody's dead and they've been killed, right? Now this is all after the fact, right? Now nobody knows who killed him. Okay, they measure to see which city he's closest to, and the elders of that city come and they bring the priest and they do a sacrifice and they say, hey, look, we didn't do this, right? You see what I'm saying? We didn't kill this man. We don't know. And the Most High God is like, this is how you exonerate yourself from the blood. Word? Because if you know what happened to him, then you have to go about it by saying, okay, well, who slayed him? And then the avenger of blood or the avengers of blood have to be given their chance and their due to make their cause. That's the only righteous thing. There is nothing else that's righteous. You know, I know people want to say that that's not what it is, but that's what it is. And I forgot to tell y'all that we had transitioned into chapter 21. Chapter 20 was pretty short. We're at already at verse 10 in chapter 21. So we got about another 3, maybe 4 chapters to go. Then I'm going to call it done because there's only 34 chapters in the whole Deuteronomy, and I'm positive I can read 9 to 10 chapters in a 3-hour period. I'm quite sure I can. I'm on page 259. It's only to page 280. If I can't read 21 pages in 3 hours and talk to y'all, in 2.5 hours, I'm trash. And I won't even have that many pages to do when I get done today. So, where are we at? Verse 10. And if when thou goest out to war against thine enemies, the Lord thy God shall deliver them into thine hands, and thou shouldest take their spoil, and shouldest see among the spoil, listen, a woman beautiful in countenance, and should desire her or think about her, come on, and take her to thyself for a wife. Listen to this. See how far we got into this story before it talks about taking foreign wives of people you beat down. We're pretty far. We're all the way in the Deuteronomy, y'all. So in the years past, when I used to jump out to Deuteronomy, think about how much we've had to read from the Genesis till now just to read about this. And if when thou goest out to war against thine enemies, the Lord thy God shall deliver them into thine hands, and thou shouldest take their spoil, and shouldest see among the spoil a woman beautiful in countenance, and shouldest desire her, and take her to thyself for a wife, and shouldest bring her within thine house, thou shalt shave her head and pare her nails. So cut her hair and her nails, or cut her hair and clip her nails, and thou shalt take away from her garments of captivity from off of her, and she shall abide in thine house, and shall bewail her father and mother the days of a month. So stop right there. The Most High God is like, look, there's no way that you take somebody captive and they're just going to be all right with that. He's like, but 30 days later, they kind of probably have given in a little bit more to being resolute that, you know what I mean? You're not getting away from this situation. You know what I mean? Like, so you can either be cool or you cannot be cool. And I had to say that so that way when I read this next part, you can understand what I'm saying about being cool or not being cool. And it shall be if thou does not delight in her. Whoa. And there we go. And afterwards thou shalt go into her and dwell with her, and she shall be thy wife. So you have to wait 30 days to be with this chick who is not of your people. You cut her hair, you clipped her nails. It's a sign, it's to show the people that she's not one of your people. And it also is an indicator that I believe and I know that the people that they were dealing with had genetic taint because they all didn't grow hair just like this. Come on. Let's just go ahead and keep it pushing. Verse 14, and if it be with thou, and if it shall be, if thou do not delight in her, thou shalt send her out free. So if she's tripping, y'all don't really care for her. She's like, she was pretty, but man, she's stupid, right? Whatever. She can't cook. She lazy. Man, the grass is not greener on the other side. Whatever the thing is, you see her looking at a bunch of other dudes. Okay. Listen. And if it shall be, thou do not delight in her, thou shalt send her out free, and she shall not by any means be sold for money. Thou shalt not treat her contemptuously, because thou hast humbled her. Right. Look, bro, you just laid with this chick. You just forced her to be your woman, bro. You don't get to treat her funny or act stupid towards her or none of that. You don't get to sell her to nobody or not. You see how trifling dudes were back then, though? It's the same trifling stuff, but they call pimping now, right? Trifling. Verse 15. And if a man have two wives, and let's tie this chick who he just got rid of into this same scenario. So we could say that a man has an Israelite wife, straight up Israelite, and then like a Philistine wife or whatever type of wife who's just not a Canaanite who lives in the land. Ishmaelite, something like that, right? Midianite, whatever. And if a man have two wives, the one loved and the other hated, and think that he loves, and let's just say that he loves his wife that's Israelite and he hates the non-Israelite wife. And both the love and hated should have borne him children, and the son of the hated should be born first. Listen, then it shall be that whensoever he shall be divided by, and that it shall be that whensoever he shall divide by inheritance his goods to his sons, he shall not be able to give the right of the firstborn to the son of the loved one, having overlooked the son of the hated, which is the firstborn. He shall acknowledge the firstborn of the hated one to give him double of all the things which shall be found by him. So this is how it's supposed to go. The firstborn is supposed to get twice as much as everybody else, right? All right, bang. No problem with that. Most High God is saying, like, look, they're supposed to get more than everybody. I don't care. Now you can compare this to Jacob's situation, but really you can't, because Jacob had a high level of love and respect for Leah. He must have. She got buried in a sepulcher. Right on? Right. They buried Rachel in the racetracks at Chabrata or Cabrata. Right. Think about that. So whenever people want to say that, and then it's like, okay, sure, he gave Joseph all that he gave him, but people have to realize what Reuben did, then what Levi and Simeon did. And then Judah pretty much being the head conspirator of getting Joseph snatched up, right on, and then selling him. So when you look at it like that, you just have to say, okay, the two wives that were really his wives and not handmaidens, the firstborn of the wife that he really loved, who's Joseph, got the most. So Joseph is a firstborn. He's just not the firstborn of his father, but he's the firstborn of his mother. So you need to also look at that and respect that and not take that out of context. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing. Here we go. He shall acknowledge the firstborn of the hated one to give him double of all things which shall be found by him, because he is the first child, or the beginning, or chief child. And to him belongs the birthright. And if any man has a disobedient or contentious son who hearkens not to the voice of his father and to the voice of his mother, and they should correct him, and he should not hearken to them, then shall his father and his mother take hold of him and bring him forth to the elders of the city and to the gate of the place. And they shall say to the men of the city, this our son is disobedient and contentious. He hearkens not to our voice. He is a reveler and a drunkard. Okay. And the men of the city shall stone him with stones, and he shall die. And thou shalt remove the evil ones from yourself, and the rest shall hear and fear. Stop right there. Do you know that obviously for this dude to be a drunkard, he's not 10 years old, bruh. Okay, he's a grown man who just don't want to get right. They said, okay, we got you. All right, we're going to put him in the wagon with, his favorite drink, right? You know what the revelers are, right? He want to be out there, singing and hanging out, and right, he's a drunk singer or a drunk reveler. Come on, man, listen. Right. Right. No, bruh. You're not gonna get lost like that. I said, no, that's not us. Not in this house. And they take him to the elders and they talk about it and they say, look, man, he don't want to get right. They stone him to death. And they say, hey, now imagine if that's the priest doing that. Imagine if that's the Levite priest taking his own son who's a drunk and having him killed. Oh, you think your children are going to get spared? Please. But because you had priests who obviously we know broke ranks, but I'm going to say there were many who didn't break ranks. There were enough who didn't. That's how you keep a house of cards together. Okay? It's because you have enough good stabilized cards while the rest of them are flimsy and been shuffled way too much. People don't like it. It's okay. Don't worry. By the time I get to this next page, we'll be getting to chapter 23. I'll read 23 and then 24. We'll call it done. And then I'll pick up at chapter 25 for my last piece. They don't know that. People just don't get it, y'all. People just don't get it. Folks don't want to hear that because they don't realize there's a lot of people who have been enabling their children or a relative who's just like this, right? We all know people like this. Can't get right. You know what I'm saying? And for a want of a more better term than that, but that's really what that is. This is a person who just can't get right. So we got to get rid of them. It's terrible, I know. But life goes on. Verse 22, and if there be sin in anyone, and the judgment of death be upon him, and he be put to death, and ye hang him on a tree, what? His body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but ye shall by all means bury it in that day. For everyone that is hanged on a tree is cursed of God. And ye shall by no means defile the land which the Lord thy God gives thee for an inheritance. Did you hear that? This is why they hang your people. This is why they hung us. Because what? Let me read that to you. Black people, why they hang your people, why they hung us. But they don't know that they couldn't curse us the Most High. We was already cursed. Stupids. It said what? And if there be a sin in anyone, and the judgment of death be upon him, and he be put to death, and ye hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but ye shall by all means bury it in that day. For everyone that is hanged on a tree is cursed of God. And ye shall by no means defile the land which the Lord thy God gives thee for an inheritance. We're about to be in verse 1 of chapter 22. So people can't understand what's really going on. The Most High is like, yo, I could contend wild animals and this, that, and the other, stuff like that. Right? But it's just a dead body. It has diseases and stuff like that. So you need to bury it, and you need to get those diseases underneath. You need to get it into a surface that can pretty much sequester and suffocate it, and not let it become anything that it's not going to do, and just turn it into some really good compost. I'm not going to say that the white man read that and thought this is where we're going to get hanging black people from. But if I was a betting man and a gambling man, and I ain't gambling today, I haven't gambled in a long time. But if I was a gambling man right now, I would be willing to put a healthy amount of money on that they read that, and that they knew that they were dealing with the children of Israel, so they thought that they were going to double curse us somehow. Not only are they cursed, but we're going to double curse them by hanging them from trees. Man, that's wicked. That's wicked on wicked, y'all. Didn't I tell y'all I was going to bring it all home before? I'm telling y'all, I'm bringing it home with Deuteronomy. Don't worry. I'm going to bring it all the way to modern day America before we're done. And people will respect what it is that is on these pages in this book. And they will no longer dismiss it as the white man's writings and its ramblings. Verse 1 of chapter 22 of the Deuteronomy. When thou seest the calf of thy brother, or his sheep wandering in the way, thou shalt not overlook them. Thou shalt by all means turn back to thy brother. Thou shalt by all means, Thou shalt by all means turn them back to thy brother. There we go. And thou shalt restore them to him. And if thy brother do not come nigh to thee, and if thy brother do not come nigh to thee, and thou dost not know him, and thou shalt bring it into his house, and thou shalt bring it into thy house within, and it shall be with thee that thy brother shall seek them, and thou shalt restore them to him. Thus shalt thou do to his ass, and thou shalt do to his garment, and thou shalt do to everything that thy brother has lost, whatsoever has been lost by him. And thou shalt have found that thou shalt have no power to overlook. Now, let me just go ahead and say something right there. Do you see how it says thy brother, right? And it says, and if thy brother do not draw nigh, do not come nigh to thee, and thou dost not know him. Stop right there. So your brother, stop right there. Your brother is somebody from the same tribe as you, the exact same tribe. Your neighbor is probably somebody who could, we're going to contend that neighbor is an umbrella term, not just for people who aren't exactly from your brother tribe, but more or less for people who stayed in the land and people who sojourn with you who are of the mixed multitude who are going to stay around the people. Just throwing that out there. Okay. So when you read terms like neighbor, it could very well be just somebody of a neighbor tribe, right on, but it could also very well mean a person who's not of the tribe, who's sojourning with the people, or somebody who is who's a native of the land, okay, who didn't lose their property when Israel came up in there ransacking everything. So, or was able to find a niche. However, but you have to put that in your mind that neighbor and brother are not the same, and it gives us gravitas that even when it says brother, it doesn't mean that somebody that was born from the same womb as you. It just means a person from your brother tribe, and you're going to give them back everything, from a shoe that they lost to an oxen. Whatever it is that you bring into your house, and they come looking for it later, that's theirs. Give it to them. Oh yeah. Thou shalt not thou shalt not see the ass of thy brother or his calf fallen in the way. Thou shalt not overlook them. Thou shalt surely help him raise them up. The apparel of a man shall not the apparel of a man shall not be on a woman, neither shall a man put on a woman's dress. For everyone that does these things is an abomination to the Lord thy God. And if thou shouldest come upon a brood of birds before thy face in the way of any tree or upon the earth, young, excuse me, young or eggs, and the mother be brooding on the trees, and the mother be brooding on the young or on the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young ones. Thou shalt by all means let the mother go. So the dam being the mother, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest live long. And if thou should build up a new house, then thou shalt make a parapet to thy house. Now, I'm going to say, people could say that they were eating eggs or whatever, whatever, whatever. It has to be a clean animal, number one, right? But I'm saying, like, the most I got is saying, like, if you're climbing up a tree and you find like there's eggs up there or whatever, right? Like, what? There's not too many birds that you would be able to do that with, you know. And I'm not sure. I can't actually say that because I don't know how animals lived thousands of years ago. I don't know how wild chickens would actually live. I don't know if they would nest at all in trees or what they would. I don't know what they would do. But but or wild anything. I know quails nest like that. So you see what I'm saying? There's birds that do nest, you know, higher up in trees that this would apply to, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, why you would take the eggs? People can say they're going to eat them. You can say that they're going to. I think they're just going. I mean, if they take the young, because it says there's little babies and then there's the eggs. I'm assuming that somebody's going to eat these. You know what I'm saying? Um, what else? What else are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? But once again, though, you're not supposed to eat stuff. You're not supposed to eat blood. So you can't eat. Eating a raw egg is wrong. It's just it has to be. There's no way. There's no way eating a raw egg is righteous because it's blood. It's pretty much in the form of blood. Before anybody say anything slick, people eating bird embryos. Okay, so don't please have some respect for yourselves. Hear how it says that a man who dresses like a chick and a chick who dresses like a dude are abominations. You know, abominations. I never read nothing that ain't an abomination that ain't really worthy of being put to death. Just saying. If thou shouldest build a house, verse 8, build a new house, then thou shalt make a then thou shalt make a parapet to thy house, so that thou shalt not bring blood guiltness upon thy house, if anyone in thy house should fall from it. Right on. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard. So you have the parapet so that way if people fall, it catches them. Right on? I'm saying? Right. They're not. So if your house is built a certain way, it's made to where people can't die on your stuff. Right. Because if you don't build the parapet and somebody falls, they're going to be like, well, you should have had one. It's your fault. And somebody might want to avenge some blood. Just throwing that out there. Where we at? Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seed, lest the fruit be devoted, and whatever seed thou mayest sow with the fruit of thy vineyard. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. Thou shalt not wear mingled garment, woolen and linen together. Thou shalt make fringes on the four borders of thy garments, with which thou soever mayest be clothed. And if anyone should take a wife and dwell with her, and hate her, and attach her to reproachful words, and bring against her an evil name, and I say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found not her tokens of virginity, then the father and the mother of the damsel shall take and bring out the token and bring out the damsel's tokens of virginity to the elders of the city of the gate. And the father of the damsel shall say to the elders, I gave this my daughter to this man for a wife, and now he has hated her, and attaches reproachful words to her, saying, I have found not tokens of virginity with thy daughter. And these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall unfold the garment before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and shall chastise him, and they shall fine him 100 shekels, and shall give them to the father of the damsel, because he has brought forth an evil name against the virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife, and he shall never be able to put her away. But if this report be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, they shall bring out the damsel to the doors of her father's house, and they shall stone her with stones, and she shall die, because she has wrought folly among the children of Israel, to defile the house of her father by whoring. So thou shalt remove the evil from among you. Stop right there. Love it. Love it. Love it. Because we're about to get into some real nitty grit. What's really popping. Okay. So check this out. All these chicks who run around here, guys talking about, well, I know my daughter's going to have sex one day. Well, check this out, bro. She's in your house. So she better not be doing nothing like that. Word? Because your daughter actually having her virginity intact, not having been with any other, that's a major thing. There's a lot of oversexed, underlearned women out here, young women and little girls, way oversexed. Don't know nothing though. And claim that men are supposed to be builders. While you want the same men who are supposed to be builders chasing after you. That's why you're oversexed. Right. It's a shame. It really is a shame. There's one instance where a man gets a fine. There's another instance where the chick loses her life. Wow. Wow. Better just understand that. That it's not for you to make the rules that are righteous. You don't get to choose what's right. A homosexual is not righteous. They're an abomination. You want to know how I know that they're an abomination? Because they call it the gay and straight alliance. Stop right there. In order for me to be straight, guess what that means you're not? You're not straight. So that means that you've swerved to the left or to the right. You're crooked. You're bent. Come on. You're wicked and evil. See what I'm saying? And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they're wicked and evil. But you have to tell them you have to tell them you are wicked and evil because you live like that. You can't let it just not be anything. You have to. Okay? You have to let it be known. Let me just go ahead and say this too, before we get to this next part and I start busting the fellas' heads. One of the biggest issues that a lot of men have is that they want a woman to be perfect in an imperfect society. So you can go ahead and drop wanting to meet a chick who's 25 and a virgin. You know what I'm saying? Word? Like, I mean, if she's out there somewhere, I'm sure, but the chances of you meeting her are right without right. You have to go pursue that. So that means you can't pursue that chick and build at the same time, bro. You can't do two things like that at once. So I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to say it so that way people take it for what it's worth. You're not settling, okay? You're finding something satisfactory. Word? That's the bottom line. You have to find satisfaction with this person. It's not about settling with them. It's about, am I satisfied? Do they satisfy the things that I need? Do they cook? Do they clean? Do they not nag too much? Whatever. Got to throw all that little stuff right there out because it's important. You know, are you a clean man? Do you make sure that that your hygiene is where it's supposed to be? You know what I'm saying? Do you do what you're supposed to do? Do you do your laundry enough? And little things that do matter. Word do matter. And once again, I have to humanize it for y'all so that way you can see, like, there's two ways that this goes. There's just a dude who's hating, right? Because this might be a contractual marriage. He might not want to be with the chick. Could be a dude who's like, yo, man, this chick is really foul, bro. Right. And he might have already known. It might be something that is kind of known, like, hey, man, yo, well, you do know that baby girl, she done been around the block with at least 20 of these dudes. Right. Right. Stuff like that. These females don't. Right. Now you're getting stoned to death right in front of your daddy's house. Mm-hmm. This is the house that you violated. Like as you violated him, so you get violated. Now let's just go ahead and keep it pushing. And if a man, verse 22, be found lying with a woman married to a man, ye shall kill them both. The man that laid with the woman and the woman. Right. The man and the woman both have to die. So this is, once again, this is why that whole thing of he who has he who has no sin cast the first stone or whatever, right? That's why that whole thing is like, this is why he says crazy stuff to them, because he's like, where's the dude at? But did the Messiah even say that? No, he didn't even go there. Word. Because they should have already had the dude. She can't commit adultery all by herself. Right. If she's married and then doesn't matter. Thank you. That's how, thank you. That whole situation. And this right here gives gravitas to that. There's a reason why the Messiah was like, these dudes are retarded and don't know the law. Then shall they bring out the damsel. Oh, excuse me. Missed my spot. And if a man be found lying with a woman, married to a man, ye shall kill them both. The man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou remove the wicked one out of Israel. And if there be a young damsel exposed to a man, and a man should have found her in the city and have lain with her, ye shall bring them both out of the gate of their city, and they shall be stoned with stones, and they shall die. The damsel because she cried not in the city, and the man because he humbled his neighbor's spouse. So shalt thou remove the evil one from among yourselves. But if a man find in the field a damsel that is betrothed, and he should force herself and lie with her, ye shall slay the man that lay with her only, and the damsel has not committed a sin worthy of death. And if a man should rise up against his neighbor and slay him, so is this thing, because he found her in the field, the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to help her. So what he's saying is that this rape is tantamount to murder. Thank you. Thank you. Rape is tantamount to murder. Thank you. Who wants to, once again, I don't know how much more protection you can give to someone to say that if you force your way onto somebody's daughter, wife, right? Their sister, their auntie, their mother, whomever, right? Hey, bruh, and they cry out, yo, bruh, you got to go. You've got to go. Because that's no different than you laying in wait to slay a man. It's the same thing as you killing somebody, dude. What you took from that person, you can't give it back. Thank you very much. That's why rape is so serious. And that's why when white dudes play down and talk down rape, that's because they're all rapists. They come from a lineage of rapists, and they all should be dead for that alone. For that alone. And if anyone, verse 28, should find a young virgin who has not been betrothed and should force his way and lie with her, and he be and be found, that man who lay with her shall give to her father the damsel 50 silver didrachms, and she shall be his wife because he has humbled her. He shall never be able to put her away. A man shall not take his father's wife and shall not uncover his father's skirt. Stop right there. We're about to get into chapter 23. It's about to go down. Did y'all hear that little part right there at the end? So yeah, dude, we know that your dad's an old man and he's with this young, fine thing, and she really want to be with you. Hey, bro, fall back on that, dude. And I just wanted to address that because that happens. That happens. Dude's father is 65, 70. He with a chick. His son is 25, 30 years younger than him. The chick he's with is 25, 30 years younger than him. Right. Right. She wants to be with his son. Son want to be with the chick, but it's like, bro, you're not your pops. You don't have the status that he does. The reason why she's with him, she chose him not because of oh, he's a sexy old man. No, it's because he has something. And what he has right now, you don't have. You have to get yourself to that level. Sorry. So you beggars can't be choosers. Right. So you don't get to choose because you're in a position where you're not even making it pop for yourself. No disrespect. Just to speak to the rape thing again. Note how if a woman's not married, right? If she's not married, you have to get married to her now. Have to pay her father the dowry of 50 pieces of silver, didrachms, and then you have to also look at the fact that he can't put her away. He can't be like, oh, I hate her. No, this is your chick, bro. You raped her. You got to stay with her. Right. Don't worry. You might even learn to love her and come to your senses like, that's not right. Cost you 50 pieces of silver. Let's say you don't have 50 pieces of silver. Guess what you're about to end up? Working. That's right. This is why this whole idea of people who don't have anything running around here, pumping babies into women and talking about God said, be fruitful and multiply. The Most High God never said, don't take care of your children. The Most High God never said, raise your children in poverty. That's not what he said. So don't put that on the Most High God. Don't put your lust on the Most High God. Do not do that. That's wicked and that's wrong. Now we're gonna go to chapter 1 of verse 20 of a chapter. Look, verse 1 of chapter 23. There we go. Little confusion there with my words. He that is fractured or mutilated in his private parts shall not enter into the assembly of the Lord. One born of a harlot shall not enter into the assembly of the Lord. Stop right there. Do you realize? Do you realize? Do you realize the Most High God compared a woman who's a whore to a man who may be damaged in his private areas? Missing testicles, crushed testicle, crushed privy member, missing part of his privy member, something like that. I don't know. Whatever's wrong with them. Not an issue that I suffer from. Thank the Most High God for that. But he's like, yeah, they don't come up in here. Or dudes who got stuff dripping from the end of their, you know what? Yeah, they don't come up in here. Okay? Right. Been out there plowing goats. You don't get to come up in here, dog, because there's something wrong with you, nigga. You evil, bro. Right. And this is why there's diseases that people get from laying down with animals. Come on. It's so that way you can be exposed for what you're doing. Come on. Now listen to this. This is deep. Verse 3, the Ammonite and the Moabite shall not enter into the assembly of the Lord, even until the 10th generation. He shall not enter into the assembly of the Lord, even forever. Stop right there. Do you know the deepest part of that right there? They broke that when they got to the land. But they broke. King David's grandmother is a Moabite. Great-grandmother, whatever you want to say, right? Great-great-great-grandmother. Something like that. But he's got a Moabite woman in his family. So when you're reading this, it's saying that like the people all together, the Moabites and the Ammonites all together, they're not going to be in droves in the congregation. Now, we're not going to go and get too far carried away when people have sons of the Ammonites and the Moabites, and their sons speak those languages but don't speak the language of the Hebrew people, which is a big deal. It's just something to think about. Let me just go ahead and keep reading. Because they met you not with bread and water by the way when ye went out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor, of Mesopotamia, to curse thee. But the Lord thy God would not hearken to Balaam. And the Lord thy God changed the curses into blessings, because the Lord thy God loved thee. Listen, Balaam was going to curse them. You hear that? So the Most High God is like, don't worry. Right. You went up there and did these sacrifices and was like, well, you know what? Whatever the Most High says, I'll say. Hoping to curse him. Right. But then the Most High God put words in your mouth saying that whatever happens to everyone else is going to let it happen to me too. I love how the Most High God gets down. But just know that a Midianite knew how to make connection with the Most High God. He knew how to make contact with him. So the children of Abraham, who were taught righteous sacrifice, know how to do certain things, regardless of what people think. Here we go. Thou shalt not speak peaceably or profitably to them all the days forever. Forever. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, because he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. If sons be born to them in the 3rd generation, they shall enter into the assembly of the Lord. Stop right there. The Most High God is saying, look, if your people mingle with the Egyptians and with the Edomites, I'm not going to sweat that at the 3rd generation. Word. They can go ahead and find their way in here. Do people not understand the Most High God did not hate Egypt? He hated Pharaoh. Right on? He's like, my people grew up in Egypt. Why would I hate Egypt? Right. That's how they this right. This is the birthplace. Right. This is the real birth of a nation in Egypt. Right. The raising of the nation, the grooming of the nation took place in the wilderness. And now they're just being told all these things. And he's like, look, you do not connect yourself with Moabites or Ammonites forever. And you don't ever bless them. Never, ever. Now, let me tell y'all something. By being peaceable to the Egyptians and to the Edomites, saved a lot of people who look just like us up until this time in the same land that people claim that Edom and the Egyptians lived in to this very day. Y'all just have no idea. And I thank the Most High God. I bless the Most High God every day when I think about how wonderful and how far reaching his glory is. That he used Edom, he used Esau. Right. He used the Egyptians. So that way his people could still be alive to this day. Because they were among nations that were just considered mightier. So they have that heart to just fight back at all times. You just go ahead and keep it pushing. Not to say that Israel doesn't, but they're not built like that. They're way more peaceable. Their father Jacob is way more peaceable than Esau. Way more peaceable. Verse 9, and if thou shouldest go forth to engage with thine enemies, thou shalt keep thee from every wicked thing. If there should be in thee a woman who was not clean by reason, by reason, if there be, a man, if there shall be in thee a man who is not clean by the reason of his issue by night, then he shall go forth out of the camp, and he shall not enter into the camp. And it shall come to pass toward evening, he shall wash his body with water. And when the sun has gone down, he shall go into the camp. And thou shalt have a place outside the camp, and thou shalt go out thither. And thou shalt have a trowel on thy girdle. And it shall come to pass when thou wouldest relieve thyself abroad, that thou should dig with it, and thou should back the earth and cover thy nuisance. Because the Lord thy God walks in thy camp to deliver thee, and to give up thine enemy before thy face. And thy camp shall be holy, and they shall not appear to be and there shall not appear in thee a disgraceful thing, and so he shall not turn away from thee. Stop right there. Note, and note again. Most High God is like, you're going to have some class. So, you hear that? How if the dude has an issue in his body, right? You know what I'm saying? Who was not clean by reason of his issue by night, whatever his issue is. Let's just say he ate he ate a he ate an animal or something like that was nasty, or let's just say he has something going on with him, right? Hey, he's got to clean himself, he's got to wash himself, and then you go to the camp, but you go to a spot that's outside of the camp. You know what I'm saying? You don't bring that nastiness in here. And then when people have to relieve themselves, you hear that word? I'm pretty sure that's the word that was used. Let me make sure I read that again. Right. And when thou wouldest relieve thyself abroad, right. Come on. She's talking about using the restroom, whatever you want to call it, relieving yourself. Right. He said, yo, you're going to have a trowel with you, okay? Because you're going to you're going to dig up a hole and you're going to bury that stuff. You're not just going to leave that out. Word? You're going to have some class. Right. You're going to cover up your piss and your dung. Come on. People are like, why the piss? Because it's still piss. Right. People don't even understand that. Having some decency though. Where we at? Thou shalt not deliver a servant to his master. Hold on. Right by this word shall turn away from thee, it says, if thou wouldest be disobedient. I have to say something. There's not a lot of people who really understand that the Most High God is like, look, being unclean is being disobedient. It's a major thing. Let me just keep it going. Thou shalt not deliver a servant to his master, who is coming from his master, who coming from his master attaches himself to thee. He shall dwell with thee. He shall dwell among you where he shall please. Thou shalt not afflict him. There shall not be. Stop right there. Do you see how slave patrolling was wrong? You see how wrong that was? You see how wicked how wicked that whole thing was? Nobody's gonna run away from somebody who treats them right. It's just impossible for me to think that. How many children run away from home who are getting treated good? Not very many. There's some, but most children who are runaways get sexually abused, tortured and tormented, in other ways. They get starved out. Okay, okay, they get parched. All that stuff. They get put through excruciating forms of pain, and they're forced to cope with it. All right. So when you say that, just there's not too many children who run away, who live in good circumstances. Okay. Now, when you talk about a slave now, why would a slave run away if his master treats him good? Why? If you have a really good master. People are like, oh, you sound like a coon. I'm like, no, I sound like a person who just equivalated a slave and a master to a parent and a child. Right. Because that's what the relationship more or less is. One person has authority, the other person's a subordinate. A child grows up and leaves the home. Okay, so let's say a slave feels like, you know what, I can strike out on my own and do just fine. It shouldn't have been up to a white man to keep a black person a slave their whole life. 7 years. Where do y'all think they got the contracts from? But from the Bible. They got the 7-year contracts from the Bible, y'all. They didn't make that number up out of nowhere. Everything they've ever done is right from the scripture. And until people can realize that they copy the scripture without actually ever having to enforce and live in the ways, we're going to be stuck like Chuck. Because these white people believe in something, and it's not themselves. They believe in something else. They believe in a greater whatever that they pray to, that they sacrifice to, wickedly. And there are some Gentiles who do believe in the Most High God. One moment. Let these absurd people, it's absurd. They're dead and dying. Right on? Let me go ahead and speak to that for a second. Whoever they're trying to save is dead and dying. Right? Or already dead. So you're going to make the living stop living. You see what I'm saying? It's that mentality right there. That's how I know that white people, so the Gentiles don't know anything. They know nothing. The American Gentile knows not a damn thing. He can't. He can't. He does things like that where people are still alive. They're not dead or dying. And you force them to stop living for a dead or dying person. Come on. And yet you would copy the scripture. 7 years indenturitude and then not even honor it. And then would create patrols that go against the very thing that I just read to you. Thou shalt not deliver a servant to his master, who is coming from his master, who coming from his master attaches himself to thee. He shall dwell with thee. He shall dwell among you where he shall please. Thou shalt not afflict him. How hard is that? Simple. They weren't running away from this person because they were a good person. They were running away because this is a bad person. There shall not be a harlot, verse 17, of the daughters of Israel. And there shall not be a fornicators of the son of Israel. So they're not going to be women who spread the legs for everybody and men who lay down with everybody among the sons and the daughters. Okay? A fornicator is not a good person. They're a terrible person. They're an empty husk. A harlot is a terrible person, a horrible person. They're an empty husk. There shall not be, excuse me, there shall not be an idolatress or sodomites or harlots of the daughters of Israel, and there shall not be an initiated person or sodomite of the sons of Israel. Initiated, being somebody of the sort, being somebody who's a what? Gay boy. Come on. Now they call them the sodomites, but there's no indication. Once again, there's no indication. Now it just tells you that a person is not supposed to idol worship, be an idolatress of the daughters of Israel, a sodomite, right? So when people don't equivalent homosexuals to sodomites, there's something wrong with them, right? So, Sodom and Gomorrah, because okay, so and then the fact that they just act like Gomorrah wasn't part of the problem, and it was just Sodom, and they only use this one word. Where's the Gomorrah word? Where's the word for Gomorrah? Right. No, it's because Sodom is easier to say. They're the devil, y'all. And they can't prove that what they call sodomy is sodomy. Thank you. Only that people who are men who engage in a certain level of activity, people who did that on a regular, they sodomites. Come on. And it says, what? Let me just read that line to you again. There shall not be an initiated person of the sons of Israel. Says everything. This is why they're all supposed to die. This is why, once again, the priest's son is gay, priest's daughter's gay. He's sparing both. People like, so what? I'm supposed to enforce that on my own children? Priest won't kill his own children. I'm supposed to enforce that on mine? Right? The judges don't enforce it on their own children. I'm supposed to enforce it on mine? Man, get out of here. And this is where you have the downfall. But you also talking about people going into a land where they practice these things on a regular. They just left Egypt where they practice these things on a regular. The Most High God is like, I hate what the Egyptians have become. But he's like, but to act like I hate the land of Egypt and to act like there was never one righteous Egyptian. Right. Please. As they say, bah, humbug, right? Nobody want to hear that. Now here we go. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a harlot, nor the price of a dog, into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow, because even both are an abomination to the Lord thy God. Stop right there. Now, when it says the hire of a harlot, nor the price of a dog, you can't sacrifice a person to the, you know what I'm saying? For any vow. So, I mean, you're not going to, let's say that the vow is not a sacrifice, right? And you're just committing something. Let's imagine that the hire of the harlot is a person and not an animal, right? The Most High God is like, because they come from this harlot, because they live underneath this person, they can't vow anything. You can't vow anything with them. And then the price of a dog, the Most High God is like, whatever that has no value. He's like, that's an abomination. Right on? Unless the word price has another meaning, but I'm pretty sure the price meaning that the value. Right. See what I'm saying? So you're not going to bring the value of a dog as a vow. Most I got is like, nah, that's you tripping. Right. The fact that the people have this idea. Let me go ahead and address something real fast. come as you are is a statement that the Messiah is making to the people well after this point. They're no longer a kingdom, they're a broken, battered, bloodied, and bruised people. So when he says, come as you are, he's not speaking it into the reference as the Most High God telling us that you won't have a person who has an issue in your body who's lame or broken down coming to the assembly or give sacrifice. No, he's not speaking it to the people who are or who have or had the chance to achieve a certain level of perfection. The Messiah is reading, saying these words to the people who are already broken down. They're already past the point of no return. So he's not saying come as you are, right? So when we read things like this, you just have to realize that is it goes to the future, right on. And this is why the chick who had like not even 2 pence, like a half of a penny or whatever, right? You see what I'm saying? And she gave what little she had. Follow what I'm saying. The poor are supposed to give a certain amount. The rich are supposed to give a certain. It doesn't matter. You're supposed to give that. And so the Most High is like, at this point, injunction, this is way before the Messiah, but I just needed to put that into people's minds so that way they didn't try to go and say, well, the Messiah says this. Well, he's saying that to a people that are broken down. And if you can't, once again, put history and put the timetable of these things when they happen, as they happen, for those circumstances, per circumstance, you really don't need to talk about the scripture. You really don't. You just need to listen to somebody like me, break it down for you. Or, like I said, I'm waiting for that person to come and just vindicate, the great vindicator. One moment. Thou shalt not hire, thou shalt not bring the hire of a harlot, nor the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy God, for any vow, because even both are an abomination to the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not lend to thy brother on usury of silver, or usury of meat, or usury of anything which thou mayest lend out. Thou mayest lend, thou mayest lend on usury to a stranger, but to thy brother thou shalt not lend on usury, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the works upon the land, unto which thou art entering to inherit. And if thou wilt vow a vow to the Lord thy God, thou shalt not delay to pay it. For the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and otherwise it shall be sin in thee. But if thou shouldest be unwilling to vow, it is not sin in thee. Thou shalt observe the words that proceed from between thy lips. And as thou hast vowed a gift to the Lord thy God, so shalt thou do which thou hast spoken with thy mouth. Man, if you tell the Most High God right now today, you're going to save the world, you better do everything in your power to save the world. That's it. If all that's in your power is making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and giving them to homeless people and reading the scripture to them, that's what you do. If all you can do is donate a whole bunch of money because you don't have time to go and be amongst the people, then that's what you do, right? While you still find a way to get close to the Most High God and find a way to get a message of the Most High to the people. If you do something between all that, that's what you do. But the Most High God is like, if you don't vow any vow, he said, there's no sin there. If you don't promise anything to me, I'm not tripping. That's the easiest way. Right. That's the easiest way. Don't make a promise to me that you don't really want to keep or you can't keep. This is why it was told to us in the book of the Numbers that if a woman says something, right, she vow a certain kind of vow in front of her husband, right, or her father, that they can pretty much revoke that vow because they can be like, nah, you don't know what you're saying right now. You know what I mean? But if she vow a vow and you don't say nothing, that's what it is. right? And now the sin's on you because you should have told her when she was tripping. You shouldn't have let her. People will allow someone to believe something that is not true for the sake of motivating them, not realizing like that motivation might get them hurt. You know, so you don't tell people, oh man, you do what's in your heart. No, do the right thing first. Don't do what's in your heart. First, do the right thing, okay, which is in your mind. All right. And if it makes your heart feel good when you do the right thing, continue to do the right thing. And just keep doing the right thing until you feel good about it. Sometimes, once again, justice will make you uncomfortable. White people weren't uncomfortable hanging black people from trees, though. They weren't uncomfortable starving black folks out. They weren't uncomfortable raping men, women, and children of all different kind of genetic strata. They weren't uncomfortable. Okay? None of the things that they do are they uncomfortable with right now. So they are not delivering justice because they are not made uncomfortable. That is a fact. Justice is the right thing, even when it makes you feel like, oh man, I feel terrible. How many people do you think wanted to stone somebody that they loved? I mean, loved. This is your only child. You're 70, 80 years old. This is it for my bloodline. That's it. And I have to kill my only child because they're not a righteous person. And I did everything. I mean, I brought the word to them. I took them to all the festivals. I showed them all the kinds of workmanship, but they just refuse to commit. They don't have to. So they don't. You know what? Do you know the kind of pain that brought somebody? They have to be the first person and the last person to stone their child. I can only imagine the scenes of people all in tears and their children in tears because they know that they failed their family. Some people happy to kill their children, couldn't stand this dude from day one. But there's a lot of people, a lot more than not, who just felt terrible. Now, this is why you're supposed to be fruitful and multiply, because you can't guarantee that the seed that springs from you is always going to be good. But can a bad seed bear good fruit? I asked y'all this. And can a good seed bear bad fruit? And if the answer to either one of those is no, then why do we see what we see? I contend a good tree can bear bad produce. A good tree can have good produce on it and bad produce. Some of it didn't get enough water, enough sunlight. Some of it was hit too much by the wind. Some of it was accosted too much by the pestilence. Whatever. It's just not as beautiful and as comely as these other pieces that got all those things that it needed. I'm sorry. This is the way it is. It is the nature of life. When it says a bad cannot bear good, it is saying that the seed of the fallen will never be good people. When it says that the good can never bear bad, it is saying that the seed of man, who is really of the earth, can never bear a bad seed because they are of the earth. Trying to give some true understanding because we're already at chapter 24. Right on. Started at 18, and I just been moving and moseying about because there's no need for me to really read chapter 24. 24 is super short. I just want to show y'all. Tomorrow or the day after, this is it. I got to get to here, right? And I'm at right here, some like a handful of pages. One moment. You see what I'm saying? Like a handful of pages. It looks like a lot of pages, but it's really not. We're like a handful out. So we're like that many pages out. It's not even 20 pages, y'all. 17 pages. So I want to save the rest of that for tomorrow, but I want to go over, but I will break into chapter 24, but I won't finish it. I don't want to do that. I want to come into that and then read 24 all over again tomorrow and do it like that. And if thou shouldest go into the cornfield of thy neighbor, then thou mayest gather ears with thy hands, but thou shalt not put the sickle to thy neighbor's corn. And if thou shouldest go into the vineyard of thy neighbor, thou shalt eat grapes sufficient to satisfy thy desire, but thou mayest not put them into a vessel. Thou mayest not put them into a vessel. And if anyone should take a wife and should dwell with her, then it shall come to pass, if she has not found favor before him, because he has found something unbecoming in her, that he shall write for her a bill of divorcement or a book of divorcement, and give it into her hands, and he shall send her away out of his house. And if she should go away and be married to another man, and the last husband should hate her and write for her bill of divorcement, and should give it into her hands and send her away out of his house, and the last husband should die, who took her to himself for a wife, the former husband who sent her away shall not be able to return her and take her to himself for a wife, after she has been defiled, because it is an abomination before the Lord. Listen to that. The Most High God said that, look, if you get married to a woman, you divorce her. Heck, let's say that she divorces you. Let's just get real creative, right? Y'all both, you just agree to disagree. We ain't gonna work. When she leaves, goes gets with another guy, he can't stand her either. He gets a divorce. That dude dies, right? Check this out. Most times, like, look, you can't go get with her now. You don't, no, that's an abomination. She's been defiled by another man. He said, no, leave her be, man. Leave her to her own devices. You see what I'm saying? This is who she wants to be. Because I find it awkward to believe that women think that dudes weren't just giving them bills of divorce just left and right. Dudes were divorcing chicks all the time back then. Believe that. Believe that. They were, man, please. Please. You didn't need no court. You could just make one yourself. Oh, you want to act up? Okay, I got you. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's all good. My maid servant has been giving me the eyes anyway. You know what I'm saying? Bill of divorce. Bloop. He done married the maid servant. Now, is it going over if they have children or not? No. Didn't even bring that up. Didn't even bring that up. That's deep, isn't it? But you have to apply all these different little rules to how you treat a woman. So you can't treat her funny after you divorce her, right? Put her away. If you putting her away and divorcing her is different. Putting a woman away is like being separated. The divorce is like we're no longer together. So, and a man might put a woman away and never really deal with her again. And an infamous example of a woman being put away is when the daughter of Shaul, I can't think of her name right now, goes out there and acts a fool with David. And David's like, okay, don't worry about it. And she died with no children. She died with no children. Now, you can assume that she cheated on King David and did that, this, that, and the other. Check this out. She died with no children. Okay? She was put away the right way or the wrong way, however you want to say it. The hard way, though. So I always laugh because, you know, it's saying right here that a woman can get divorced and go get with another dude. Is the Bible knocking the chick for getting with another dude? No. It's not running her face into the ground for doing that. Is the Bible even knocking the chick for the man finding something unbecoming in her? No. Did the Bible knock the chick for getting divorced again and another dude finding something unbecoming in her? No. So when all these, see, once again, the Bible doesn't praise Once again, because if you want to be a whore, if she's going to end up being a harlot, her children are not to come into the assembly. You see what I'm saying? You see how deep this goes? So all these females out here who are 30, 35 years old with no children. Okay, baby girl, you expect me to believe that you're a virgin in America? Right. So how much value do you really think you have? Right. Just because all these dudes that you laid up with, you didn't get married to, and you didn't give them, or they didn't give you a bill of divorce, doesn't mean you didn't lay down with them like a harlot. Didn't mean that these dudes didn't lay down with you like a fornicator. For all my brothers out there who think that they're going to escape this. Part of the problem. Not picking and choosing righteous women. Guys purposely going after other women. So I'm going to give you a prime example of some crazy stuff. A guy goes to war, right? Gets a wife. I'm putting down the scripture. Since I'm done with the scripture, I can pick up my wine. Guy goes to war. Bang. He kicks butt, takes names. Coming back, he sees the finest chick he thinks he'd never seen his whole life. He's, oh my goodness. Right? They don't make him like that back home, right? He's talking crazy, all kinds of nonsense to himself. Check this. He gets the chick to go ahead and cut her hair, pair her nails, gives her 30 days to mourn her parents righteously, right? To bewail her parents, her mother and her father and her mother, however you want to say it. And then after day 30, he can take to this woman and lay with her. Now, what's so amazing about that is that let's imagine that woman is that woman, right? That she's the one that gets the bill of divorcement, then gets with another dude, right? Okay, so this is why it's like, yo, the child of a harlot can't come into the congregation. Now, it also specifies that the women of Israel, the daughters of Israel, are not to be harlots. But it makes it clear that no harlots' children are supposed to get into, they're not supposed to get here. The major example I have of a person making it to the throne whose mother is a harlot is King Jeroboam. And I believe what Jeroboam did for the people, listen to me, don't get mad at me. Though Jeroboam led the people to sin, an immensely great sin, the greatest sin ever, which is to betray the Most High God willfully, and to continue to do so without any form of sacrifice to make repentance. Jeroboam came forth, right? And I want to say it was to Rehoboam, son of Solomon, right? And he says, hey, bro, look, man, take the yoke that your father put on the people up off of us, and we'll serve you. Now, I need y'all to hear this right here. King Solomon ran Jeroboam out the land after he used him. This is how I look at King Solomon. Y'all, a lot of people see King Solomon differently, but King Solomon in his latter age became a real grimy dude, man. He was super grimy. And he used Jeroboam, man. And Jeroboam was hurt by that in his heart. And he went back to Egypt because he is by race and by genealogy, he's part Egyptian or eighth Egyptian, a quarter Egyptian, whatever you want to say, right? Because he's an Ephrathite. What is so important about this is that he brings back the ways of Egypt onto the people. But he's the only one who spoke up for the people. It's really awkward how that whole thing played out. Because Rehoboam, had he listened to the elders told him, hey, bro, just listen to the people. Whatever the people ask you to do that for them, and it's going to be well with you, man. But if you don't listen to them, it's not going to be good. He listened to the dudes his age, was like, man, get everything you can get off these suckers. The problem is this. The people had blood mixed so heavy with the Canaanites by then, right, that there was no reprieve. So a lot of people were like, yo, man, the tributes that you have on the Canaanites, you technically have them on me. Right, because my wife is a Canaanite. Chick who's married to a Canaanite dude is like, yo, my husband's a Canaanite. How? That doesn't make sense. My husband's an Amorite or whatever, right? She's from the tribe of Dan. Her husband's an Amorite, and you're taxing him, right? How can she be feeling you, Judah? She can't. There's no way. Or how can that brother from the tribe of Dan married to the Amorite chick be feeling? There's no way they're feeling that movement. These are all black people for the most part. This is why I get so confused about why folks argue up and down about whether or not the Israelites did the right thing. I'm like, they clearly did not do the right thing. And I think that people will overblow, or they give a lot of credence to being the chosen people, but they give no credence to the chosen law. You see what I'm saying? Because those people were supposed to live a certain way. So for anyone to try to tell me that, well, yeah, they were supposed to live a certain way, but Meej, you didn't really expect them to be perfect, did you? Actually, looking back and reading the opportunity that they had, I did expect that. Anybody in their right mind could expect perfection from a people who actually had the chance to do it. It's not like being in America right now, where we're just a handful of 390 some odd years removed, right, from when they first touched down here seriously. Even though they got here in the 1400s, the Spaniards, at least, the conquistadors, the Crusaders did. The thing is this: if we had the land, let's just imagine if America had land as fertile as it was 350 years ago, there is no way, it's impossible that there couldn't be something good to come from it today. But the land is totally destroyed. It's wrecked, and it can't be salvaged. You follow what I'm saying? This place cannot be salvaged. So when I read a book about a people who lived in a land that thousands of years ago was far more workable, and if they couldn't achieve perfection, there's no way that the people now are going to achieve perfection. It's impossible. It goes against all logic. Think about that for a moment. How could you logically say that you believe that right now the black people have a better chance in America than they did have when they had their own country and their own nation? Think about this for a moment. There was a time when black people had their own, and it wasn't in Africa, because in Africa we were slaves. A lot of people forget this. If you let me tell the story of slavery, most of the black people who got on those ships didn't fight to get on the ships because they were told to get on the ships by their African masters. Big whoop. Big freaking whoop. How hard is that to figure out? I guess it's impossible to figure out if they've been throwing red herrings at you your whole entire life, and you just don't stand back and look at it and say, hey, you know what? Aren't slaves supposed to listen to masters? So if a master says, hey, you're going to listen to me and you're going to get on this boat. Get on the boat. All of you. And they all get on there. Then the white dudes come in, or the Portuguese with curly hair, white looking dudes, but they're not really white, mixed looking dudes, I should really say, come in, start shackling people up. And they say, master, what's wrong? And he says, I've sold all of you. I've sold you all to these men. I am no longer your master. I am no longer your master. And he leaves. That's way more believable than people coming in there with one-shot muskets, horribly inaccurate rifles, can barely hit each other when they stood still, and want you to believe that people took over. Right. It just doesn't make sense. What makes the most sense is that people who were already a subjected people in the land, who came there and became willfully subjected themselves to the people, willfully became their servants. So there was no force. The Africans did not force, those so-called Africans did not force my people to serve them. My people served them willfully, did that all on their own. Right, right. And the Africans betrayed my people and our trust and our fidelity. And that's why we don't trust y'all now. That's why we ain't fucking with y'all now. Because you did some real wicked ass shit a long time ago that I will never forget, nor will I ever forgive. I will never forget, nor will I ever forgive. What I just said makes way more sense than what anybody's ever going to tell you. That their African masters told them to get onto those, that told them to get onto those ships, forced them onto those ships. And then once people actually figured out what was going on, maybe then you get some pushback. But the first fleet of slaves, for a long time, these guys were just able to be told, hey, get on the boat. Get on. Yep, let's go ahead and get on there. I know people don't want to believe that. I know you don't want to believe Mugabe sold you out, huh? For a harlot, right? And some piss wine. I know you don't want to believe that. I know you don't want to believe that. I'm sorry. That's what happened. After we built Timbuktu for them, they figured they didn't need us anymore. They figured we won't sell them all. We won't give them all away. We won't sell them all. We'll sell a lot of them. We don't need them. If you didn't need us, you wouldn't needed us. They would have never needed us in the first place. That's why you got sorry bastards talking about black. Listen, when I say I'm over it in the aspect of I realize my enemies are never going to acknowledge what it is that I'm saying. I'm over it. I'm past that. I'll have to just get past it. But if I bring it up, clearly I'm thinking about it. You can be over something and think about it and still feel some type of way, something that you're past. Like, okay, I'm past that, but still, if I'm thinking about it and I'm going to talk about it. Right. Black people need to wake up. This one book has in it the way of life, how people were supposed to live. This land has no life in it anymore. How many cubic miles of the United States do you think are tainted with radioactive waste in the soil, let alone in the water, let alone in the food that we eat? This is America. This is supposed to be the greatest place on earth. Right. How do you fix that, huh? How do you fix people who don't want to eradicate all weapons? Because that's the only way to actually have true peace on earth. How do you fix that? You can't. They can't be fixed. So they have to destroy themselves by they have to destroy themselves with their own hands by the means of their own devices. It's the only way. Anybody want to argue with me about the stuff? Look, man, I got a body of work, okay, that talks about these things. I'm just really starting to really just put it forth to people like, yo, it's not a mistake. It's not by chance or coincidence that they treated your ancestors the way that they treated them. I want you to think about this for a moment. People downplay slavery all the time. All the time. Talk about, I don't go around here talking about what I'm owed, what other people owe me. Check this right here out. Check this right here out. I also don't have the ability to go to this person's mother or fatherland and make a life for myself like they've come to America and done. On the back of who? That's right. Your mother, your father, my father, my granddaddy, my grandmama, all of them. They all put the work in. If your people put in the work, how can they tell you that they didn't? That's what I'm saying. You got cats who literally, there's people who literally, I need y'all to understand. The Civil War was only 160 something years ago. 150 something years ago. Yo, 150 years ago is not that long. That's like 7 generations, 7.5 generations. You got a lot of people whose literal history in this country that doesn't go back 150 years. Think about that for a moment. They don't understand what it takes, y'all. They don't get it. Same people who come here talking about I'm a hardworking immigrant. Okay, bruh. If you're so hardworking and you're so smart, why is it not popping where you're from? Why? Right. Nobody wants once again, like I told my boy the other day, niggas are not dying to get to nowhere in Asia. Nowhere. People in Asia dying to get here and swear up and down they're better than black people. How can you be better than the niggas that you want to get next to? But they're not fighting and dying and crying to get next to you. That doesn't even make sense. And because you have so many folks who they lump every single brown skinned, curly hair person together, brown skin, whatever hair person together, that they all get treated a certain type of way. But this is why I'm only here for mines. I'm only really truly worried about people who look just like me. Right. I'm worried about tribe first. Everybody else is second. That's just the way it is. Niggas can't Niggas can't get mad at me because I'm saying something that they wish they would have said a long time ago. Why would I team up with people who look just like the people who sold my ancestors? Think about that. Why would I do that? What kind of black person are you? You're no less of a sellout and a coon to be kumbaya with the Africans if you kumbaya with white people. Do y'all understand how long black people live with those motherfucking Africans? Excuse me? Do you have a concept of the time? It was over 1,000 years. It was over 1,000 years. It was like a 1,400-year period. Somewhere real close, if not more. If not more. That they stayed with those Africans. And you see what they did to us? We ain't been around white people nearly as long. And you more and once again, you're not nearly weary of Africans as you should be. You've only been around white people for not even 400 years, and you can't stand them. You should not be. You should not can't stand these Africans the same fucking way. I'm not excusing that. You should not be able to. You should not stand them. Please. They did worse to you than the white man by selling you here. You got to understand, by them making the decisive effort to make sure that they got rid of us. They put us through a lot of the things that we weren't going through that over there. Right. And they made all kinds of deals with the devil. And I'm supposed to feel bad for the condition of that place now? Man, forget Africa, bro, and that whole continent. I want my people to live. That's it. I ain't worried about no funny looking, super duper black skin, 8 foot tall looking dude. I'm not worried about none of them. If you don't look just like me, I don't care how dark your skin is, how light your skin is. If you don't resemble me, I don't really care like that. Hope you get it. Because there ain't no way you going to tell me that they was around Africans for 15, 1600 years. And you mean to tell me that that you have no hate? You have no harbored ill will towards these niggas at all? Come home. There is no home there. That was never my home, nigga. We were renters. We were renters. We were renters. And you kicked us out. Because your recent tenants done tore up the land. Tore it all up. Now you want us to come back over there and fix something, man. You got life all kinds of confused. You got me confused for sure. If black people didn't think I was going to not be bringing this, I told y'all I was going to bring it home, getting to the latter end of all this. I'm bringing it home, y'all. That nobody's escaping from what they did to us. Nobody escapes from getting called out for being the suckers that they were and that they are. They want to kumbaya with their enemies. I'm telling you right now, there's more people who sort of look like me that are way more of a threat. You know that if they got white looking skin, funny looking hair, you already don't trust them. Right. You're already a little weary. Most black people really don't trust white people. That's why I be laughing when they say that there's more coons than not. I'm like, actually, that's really false. That's extremely false. There's there's way more we're just one big niggas than there are, we're all just one big coon for sure. And for all the one big niggas out there, I want y'all to really think about this. You've attached yourself to people who are genetically related to the people who are the reason why we're here in the first place, because they sold us to these motherfuckers. Think about that. Just really put that in your mind. I want to lock arms with them. Not locking. I'm not locking arms with no white dude or no dirty ass African. They one and the same to me. You don't get to be a child of Israel and an African. I do not listen. Listen. The place of my birth is America. Is the place of my birth is America. Let me say that again. The place of my birth is America. Ten years ago, I was super patriotic. Just even 7, 8 years ago, I was super patriotic. But you lose that patriotism when people try you. Right on? People who never would have even put their name on the dotted line. Lost I have no patriotism. None. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. You want to victimize me? You want to try to fucking make me look like a criminal and a bad person? I have no patriotism. Right on? American by nationality, not because it's by choice. You niggas choose to be Africans, and that's the problem. Because you want to be the chosen people of God. Africans are not chosen people of God. Dirty black bastards who crawled about the middle of the planet are not the chosen people of God. Neither are crusty white ones. My people are the chosen people of God. And if you don't like it, you know what you can do. You can sit on a sharp sword. That's what you can do. Please. I will never give my lineage to anyone. It's mine. My lineage is my inheritance. I own the sins of my fathers and my mothers. I own those sins, and I don't pardon myself from them. And because they choose not to own the sins of their fathers and their mothers, they cannot be my people. If you will not own the sins of your fathers and your mothers, you are not my people. The Most High God's people betrayed him. If you're claiming to be a child of the Most High God, you must claim first that I understand the betrayal that took place. And if you cannot come to terms with that, do not speak to me. You do not get to live. You do not get to enjoy any part of the greater part of life and get to say, oh, I'm cursed just like a person who lives in a rundown studio apartment with cockroaches or something like that. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I know my life ain't that hard, that bad. I know it ain't. So I don't act like it is. But I know how difficult my situation is compared to some of the people who live like that, who choose to live like that, and have made no effort, have taken no stance on anything to make things better for themselves. I feel nothing. Feel nothing. I feel nothing for people who choose to take the easy road out. I watched a movie last night called Inherit the Viper. Very interesting movie because it's about white people being on opioids. Now it doesn't really go into people getting high and stuff like that in the movie. It just goes into this family of drug dealers and how when you choose to do the right thing, you must do the right thing. And there's a part in the movie, I just wanted to share this with you, where a man, he says, I'm looking for repentance. And it's played by Josh Hartnett. And he's telling this guy he's looking for repentance. And on the next scene, he's getting his face beat on because the man's wife died earlier in the movie from an overdose. So Cuz is trying to make it, even though he didn't sell her the dope came from his sister, but he tried to make right. You see what I'm saying? And dude let him beat him down bad, right? Then he set up his sister who sold the dope to the dude's wife to make it right. Blood for blood. You understand? Now, do I think that the dude should have beat the dude down? You can't beat the chick down like that. All you can do is administer justice, right? But the thing is that this movie showed something that most movies wouldn't show. That's really justice, okay? Because the female character was so evil and so wicked, and it tried to show as if she was conflicted or had some sort of, a thing going on to where, like she was really struggling, trying to fight her demons or whatever. But that's not the case. She's just the evil person who couldn't cope with the fact that she's a coward, right? And she died a coward's death, the way that she deserved. See, they don't want to see movies like that. That's not going to get no Oscar nod. Because that's the real way that these white people are living. The youngest white boy in the movie, who at the end of the movie, he become a drug dealer, but he's a weenie at first. And really, he's a weenie even so in the end, because it's not like you're doing anything. You're standing around waiting to sell pills to people who are addicted to opium. And they call that a job. They call being a drug dealer a job. But the movie had an interesting dynamic where the guy's working at a wood mill. He's just not making enough money. No duh. But you're a veteran. You're all this, you're all that. If you're a white dude, you're a veteran. Why not use, you see what I'm saying? That veteran access to get some stuff done. But people don't all think like that. And sometimes the VA don't reach out back to you. They just don't take care of everybody. Man, it's a deep thing, y'all. For people to believe that this country can be fixed. It can't be fixed. It's unfixable. Black people, you can be fixed if you want to be fixed. My people, you can be fixed if you choose to be fixed. But if you continue to wallow in the sin that you wallow in to this very moment, to this very day, what you will receive is a strict judgment. Trust me, I know, I've read it already. And I have no premisconceptions about what I read. You want us all to die because the few good people we need to pray don't want to pray? Because their hearts are so hardened to the Most High God that they refuse. That's all it is. They refuse to pray to him. It's not because they don't think he's real. They know he's real. They just refuse to pray. So they're going to watch us all die. Do y'all realize that? They're going to watch us all die. And maybe at the end of their days, they'll realize when they're at the end of their rope, when they don't have the same faith that they do now, they'll realize when I had all that faith that I had, I should have asked to be saved from these people, so-called people, from these things. And now I must live amongst them and die amongst them because I cast my lot amongst them and said, I choose not to run. Leaving isn't running. Leaving is leaving. A man who leaves his wife didn't run away from his family, didn't run out on his family. He just left his wife. He could still very much be in the lives of his children if the woman doesn't try to make it an obstacle to do so. So when I say I want to leave here, I want to run away from America like that. No, I want to get the heck up out of here though. If I could run away from America, I would and never look back. But like I told y'all, there's legality that keeps me from doing that. And you can say, "Oh, you're a coon for listening to the legal system," but I can say that everybody who follows the speed limit and stops at a red light is a coon then, right? So please don't badger me with that nonsense. You follow what I'm saying? The reason why heavy consideration has not been made to just get up out of here is because I can't leave. So why would I even make a plan to go somewhere where I technically legally the United States could be like, yeah, man, send his black ass back over here. I don't know what he was thinking. Right. There's nowhere to go. For me, not yet. And I don't want to go to Africa. Trying to get as close to Persia as possible. I want to be as close to where my people are from as possible. I want to be as close to Babylon as possible, as close to as possible, the land of the Chaldeans as possible. My people are the true children of that region. And we bear its markings. We love to live in mountainous terrain. We love to live by the water. We love the heat in righteous proportions. And we don't mind the cold when it's not windy and wet. They have stolen from us all the things that were supposed to be important, our language being one of the first. But our lineage, they have not stolen. You cannot steal what is not yours. You cannot steal a bloodline from a man. But you can wrench from him his memory of self, and you can lower him to make him believe that he is not what he is. It's sad that the children of the Most High God do not believe that they are children of the Most High God. You see how that works? It's a constant cycle of who's going to win and who's going to lose. Because you have to believe, you have to have faith. I wanted to point out one more time the ways that the Israelites were told to take over the lands and to do everything. The white man looked at it and said that we can't do that. We can't accomplish that. Do you really believe that they could have accomplished? They didn't tell anyone that they were going to war with Iraq. Right on. They just showed up there. They didn't tell people that they was about to go to Afghanistan. They just showed up there. Right. When they came here to America, did they tell the indigenous populace that they were going to just did they tell them, hey, we want to come into the land and survey it, right? And the people come out and make war against them? No. Did they do that with the Aboriginals in Australia? No. Did they do that with the Aboriginals in any of the islands that they've ever been to? No. They've always done everything by deceit and by wickedness. They think that they're working craftily to be evil. To work craftily and to be evil are two different things. And you have an entire populace who may not understand this, that America at one point in time had more mixed people than any other planet on the entire listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. America at one time had more mixed people than anywhere else. They had more than anybody. This is why they had to keep pulsating white people into here, because a lot of them were marrying out. Okay. This is what was happening. This is truly what was happening. The Civil War, I can't stress enough, because the white man couldn't control what he had done. Saw himself becoming overrun by by his own mistake, which is to think that the seed of a woman is the seed of a man. So, right, he believed his seed to be black from a black woman, but didn't believe the seed of a black man from a white woman to be white, still black. See what I'm saying? There's a fallacy in the understanding there. I'll never know. I mean, I do know, but I'll never know how they came to that conclusion outside of being wickedly evil and virtually full blown retarded. Nobody understands that. They didn't do what is written in the scripture to do, which is why they're going through what they're going through now. If white men could produce half-breed sons who were super athletes, who were just there would be no need for black men to have ever lived. They could have literally killed off every man and just bred with the women, and then let their sons breed with the women to produce the people. That's not what happens. That's not how it happens today. It's not how it happened back then. So for people to try to tell me something otherwise than that, I just really kind of look at it like, yo, do you guys not realize in the scripture, the Most High God told them certain places you're going to kill everybody, other places you're just going to kill all the men. So if you're killing all the men, that means that you feel that we don't need these men to do anything. Right. Right. Think about that for a moment. There's no level of servitude or work that we want them to engage in because everything we do is better. Think about that. If these white people, so-called white people, were true husbandmen and were true carpenters, from the very get, they would have there would be no black people in this country, dude. You really think they would have let black people build anything if they really thought they were better at building everything than black people all those years ago? And then lived under the roofs of the homes and the houses that black people built? What? And passed those homes down to their children, to their children's children? Do some of these people still live in homes that their families owned that were tiny little plantations? What? Come on, man. That doesn't even make sense. But it's because people believe that sort of, I mean, it's just more, you got to be a complete moron, a moron, okay? An imbecile. For real, for real. Think about that. That is defective breeding. That's defective breeding. That you could lie to yourself so much that you could tell people that you did everything that you didn't do, and all the evidence that you didn't do it is all on Front Street. Yet you claim you did all these things. They don't marry up, they don't match up, they don't come together. They don't. They don't. And people don't want to hear that this land is going to fall the same way that in deceit and in wickedness that it was risen up and brought up is the same way that it's going to go down. It's a fact. It's not an opinion. That's not me being overly hopeful for something negative. That's just me telling y'all what it is. I know for a fact that's what's going to happen. I know for a fact that's what's going to happen. Think about this for just half a moment. They put every other class of people over my people. The same classes of people that they put over my people are the same very people who are about to turn on them. Did they know that? Not only a contingency, a healthy contingency of their own genus about to turn on them. Right. I keep telling my people to stand back and watch it happen. Just stand back and watch it happen. So I keep laughing. White people always want to tell black people, quit blaming the government for your position. They should tell that to white people who are on welfare more than niggas. But don't worry though. Poor white people are getting tired of hearing that same weak shit too. They're tired of that. Oh, they're tired of that. Right. Granddaddy, great granddaddy, and his daddy, all war veterans. And what they got to show for it? Nothing but a trailer. Come on. And some crumbs and a few lousy medals that we get to reminisce about. And then get mad because the government didn't take care of us the way that they were supposed to. Don't worry, there's a whole bunch of white people like that. There's a lot of them. It's okay. It's okay. Y'all don't even recognize. It's been white people blasting each other. A lot of these headlines, a lot of these major headlines, these protests, I told everybody before it even jumped off like this. I told everybody before there was a protest for a George Floyd murder jumped off. I told people the nig lover was going to have to carry so much weight and that you have to allow them to do what they need to do. Because a whole lot of them are fed up. Black people, my people, before I roll on out, I ask y'all to pray to the Most High God that He rescue us. If a man tells me right now that he doesn't need saving, then guess what? White supremacy is not real. I'm one of the coldest, y'all. Y'all just don't know. If a nigga tell me that he don't need no saving, white supremacy, whatever they call it, ain't real. I know I live in white heaven. This is white heaven. This is nothing else but white heaven. I got told you there's other limbs of white heaven, but this is the coldest part of white heaven right here. Right here in what they call the US of A. I know I lives in white heaven. And for any black person to say that white supremacy is bigger than white heaven, you lying to yourself. White heaven is anywhere where white people are in charge of making the rules at. That's white heaven. Okay? And there's a bunch of white heavens on earth. But let me go ahead and just break it on down though. I know for a fact that if I know that I need to be saved, that there's a problem. If a brother's telling you, if a brother will tell you that he don't need no saving, okay, then there's no white supremacy, cuz. That doesn't exist if you don't need no saving. See, I'm a cold dude. You can't argue it both ways. Clearly, you need saving. Right, nigga. Right, nigget. You clearly need to be saved. This is the problem with y'all. You don't see it 2 eyes open. You see it squinty-eyed as he just got out of sleep. You better wake up. Like I told my boy Steven, look, he don't know how much love that dude, bro. I would tell him if I was talking to him. You better wake up. Steve would tell you hundreds of times he heard me say that. Not dozens, hundreds. You better wake up. You better wake the fuck up. Just like that. You better wake up. Right. And realize that if you're complaining about a system, you need to be saved from that system. No lie. Because you're outnumbered and outgunned. And you're out-trained everything. You're out all that. The only thing they don't have more than you is faith. And you don't even use the only weapon you really have because you don't believe in prayer. So that's the issue we have. Black man, black woman, black child. I don't need you to pray with your family if you're the only righteous one. You need to pray by yourself. If your son is the most righteous person you know, guess what? I don't need you praying with your son. I need your son praying by himself. If your daughter or your wife is the most righteous person you know, okay? I don't need you praying with them. I don't want them praying with you. They need to be praying by themselves. And tell them what to ask for. Ask the Most High God to save us. So that way they can get all the way into their full feelings for him. I'm not asking the unrighteous to pray for me. not to get up out of here. You can pray for me to keep living. If you pray death on me, you just pray death on me. All you can do is pray on me a blessing. That's it. You can't pray a curse on me. And if you're praying a blessing on me, how are you unrighteous in that moment? Come on, see, I need y'all to understand this. The unrighteous can't pray for me. Or they can't, all they can do is they their curses have already been manifest. All right? I'm here in America. Child of a slave, former slave, whatever how you want to say that. Descendant of a slave for sure. There's no disputing that the whatever curses are in that book have already full-fledged taken hold of me, and I can't escape them. So I don't need for no heathen, all right, to speak. Oh, I'm gonna pray an even worse curse on you. It can't get any worse than this, dog. All they can do is hurt my physical vessel. That doesn't make it worse, just makes it more difficult. Having said that, I know for a fact that we need the righteous, pure of heart, to pray. We need the downtrodden and the meek in spirit to pray. We need them to speak up. It's time that they open their mouths. A closed mouth cannot get fed. Did you hear me? In literal sense. How can you feed a closed mouth? It's impossible. That's right. So what you desire, you must speak up and say. You cannot say, oh God, I desire that the white man treat me as an equal. You must say, oh no, my God, destroy my enemies from before my face, that I may leave this land without haste nor tumult, that the lame, even the lame, oh God, leave with much loot. You must ask for righteous things. You can't ask for just any old thing. And what I just told you to say, that's not the exact words you need to use, but you need to be somewhere in that ballpark. If you're not asking to get up out of here, you're asking for all the wrong things. If you're not asking that he physically heal you before he sends the great terrible tribulation, the great day among us, the wonderful day among us, the day of judgment, when he sent that day to this earth, if you need healing of any sort, especially the physical kind, so that way you can move about and do as you need to do, right? So that way at your own behest, you can do something, right? Not so that way you have to be subject or you have to be uh, at the mercy of anyone. I've already told black people what I feel about them protecting themselves. You don't need my permission. You don't need my permission to protect yourself ever. You don't need my permission for anything. But if you're thinking, what would my brother Demetrius do with his crazy self? Oh my goodness, what would he do, right? Because other people think I'm crazy. Because the things that I say don't line up with what they've been taught in society. They were taught to think a certain way. I was taught to think a certain way, but I believe a certain way. Y'all were coming up on the end of the Deuteronomy. Do they not realize how many little things I've tossed in between just this last few days? Things that I haven't really even been talking about? Because I don't have to. I mean, I don't have to, but when it comes to the Deuteronomy, when it comes to who we are, I must stress that this has all to do with us. This whole book is our history. And if we could just hone in on that, we have the ability to be good people, to be great people, to be righteous people, to be holy people and godly people. We have that ability. But we can't do it in this, we can't do it in this land. We can't do it here. It's impossible. There's people among us who feel that because I say that a person who is anti-life should die. anti-life being a homosexual. They're mad because a man like me who says that the rape culture that white men have created in this country, so-called white men, that all their activities are punishable by death. There's a whole bunch of black guys who thrive on this rape culture. Let me go ahead and break something down to y'all. If a man puts something in a woman's drink and takes advantage of her, he deserves to die. Did you hear me? If a man puts something in a woman's drink and take advantage of her, he deserves to die. He's no different than a man who lied in wait to shed blood. He's no different. See, my sisters, I really am there for y'all, but you have to be there for yourselves too. You have to protect yourself and your reputation. Shout out to Tito, General Tito, right on. Because I learned that from him. That exact way of protecting your reputation. And I'm not going to tell no tall tales. That was years ago. I heard years and years ago. I heard him say that. Right on. And I'm telling y'all, out of all the things I heard that man say, and I disagree with a bunch of things I heard that man say, but that was the one thing that I took from him that I know is that was like a hunk of gold. That was like a piece of like raw metal. Okay, it was that was worth listening to a lot of things I didn't agree with to hear him say that. And and at the point that I've gotten to my life, I just agree ever more with the man that to teach your daughters to protect their reputation is the most important thing a man can teach his daughter. To teach his daughter what a reputation is and how people get a reputation. Right on. And the older she gets, or the older your son gets, because he has to protect his reputation too. And the older you get as a person, right, or the older they get as a person, the more things you can tell them, the more things you can inform them on. What they're exposed to, you have to inform them on because they've been exposed to it. You see what I'm saying? You have to give them the understanding the best you can in that moment. But if they're not exposed to something, you wait till they get to an age where they understand it, and then you expose it to them. But this just goes into why I say that in this land, we can't ever get back to being a godly or holy people. But we can be repentant here. We can be redeemable here. Come on. Could you hear what I'm saying? We can be remorseful here. And if we try really hard, we might even be just a little righteous when we do all those things. When we do those three things first, you got to repent. Okay? You have to make yourself redeemable like that. I'm saying there has to be remorse. And then then when you do those three things, doesn't matter the order, but I would start with being remorseful and repentant first. Because it's hard to be redeemable if you haven't repented and you're not remorseful. If you're not one or the other. Right. Or both. And I would put both together so that way you double down on trying to be redeemable to the Most High God. So there's something righteous in a person who repents and is remorseful. There's something redeemable in them for sure. And that is what I'm trying to tell y'all. No one has tried to repent. They have tried to talk their way out of why we are here. The white man did not wage war on the continent of so-called Africa hundreds of years ago. He would have got himself murdered. That would not have been a wise decision. That would not have been a wise decision. It would have been a very unwise decision. But if people don't look at the history of all these things, at the height of the power of the Ottoman Empire, they came down to Africa and sent emissaries and said, hey, man, we should send these guys across the seas where some of our part Jew, so-called Jew, Spanish, Portuguese, and other types of travelers are going to go out and discover some things. That's right. I just said it. Christopher Columbus was Jewish. Y'all didn't know that. I didn't know that until I really looked into it, started to break it all down. And I was like, there are Jews in Spain. Yeah. There are Jews in Spain called Sephardic Jews. There's a whole lot more than you think. And there would have been way more of them unknown back then, okay, than there would have been now. I can put money on it. Christopher Colombo was a Sephardic Jew. Big money. Big money. He wasn't Italian, y'all. He was not Italian. He was Jewish. That's why he had curly hair. Oh, it's deep, huh? See what I'm saying? Could they ever tell y'all that? Do they even know the history well enough to have put that together for y'all? To say, oh, wow, they actually started slavery after the Crusades. That's not suspect, is it? Anyway, I'm talking about transatlantic slave trade. That didn't start till after the Crusades, until after the major part of it. Nobody understands that. Colombo coming to America, Christopher Colombo, having his people come to so-called America, getting as close as he did, having troops come to the actual land. We could say whatever. I was the one, me, all by myself. Ask Andre Wickham if you don't believe me, who told the people well over a year ago, the reason why they call people here Indians was because they look just like the Indians of India, Aboriginal looking dudes. Nobody wants to hear that. I said that first. I'm the first one telling y'all right now. If you ain't never heard it from nobody else, Christopher Columbus was Jewish. Right. Right. Now is it starting to make sense to y'all? Now is it starting to really jump out to y'all as to how the carpetbagging Jews were the ones who actually became the main beneficiaries of the slave trade? Starting to make sense now? Starting to make sense as to why the English pushed so hard to fight the Spanish up out of here? See? It's deeper than you think. It's deeper than you think. I'm not even going to talk about the Spanish. I won't even talk about Spain and their connections to the Roman Catholic Church and get carried away. But just know, man, it is deep. And none of these cats know this. They want to tell you about black maroons. And I can't wait to look up some pictures of what these so-called black maroons look like. Because if they don't look like me, then what they're saying totally proves my point that there were different genus classes of Negroid people who lived in America, all over the world, and still do. That's nothing. That means no thing. That's an obvious fact to the world. But if people want to take it serious, that yes, the same person who they said came here and discovered this place is in fact one of the very people, come on, who benefited the most off of the slave trade. I'm talking about his genealogy, not who he is per se. That's a deep thing. That's a deep, 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 deep thing, y'all. I want you to think about this. There was a bunch of English people here who didn't come up like the carpetbaggers did. Y'all think that's just a mistake or a mystery? No, that doesn't happen by chance. That happens on purpose. Somebody makes that to happen. There's a reason why I went into radio silence. I said I had gotten too far away from the things that matter the most to me. Much love to Breonna Taylor. But her boyfriend's a coward, and he has confirmed that he was a coward. So I have no need to talk about things like that anymore. What I have to talk about is what matters the most is how do we get out of here? Like they said, busting out of this joint, right? That's how I feel about black people being stuck in America. We got to bust out of this joint, but we got to bust out with the Most High God. He's got to be in front of us. It's the only way we're going to live. It's the only way we're going to make it out of here. Some of us in one piece. Right. If I can't make it, I want y'all to make it. Y'all don't even know. You just don't know. If I can't make it, I really want y'all to make it. It would mean so much to me to have somebody to have made it up out of this place and for the Most High God to have destroyed all that we have seen. Just to be like, man, I remember Brother Demetrius saying that one day the Most High God was going to do this. And I don't have to be there because it's just for you to know that that's that moment. That's what gives people faith. To know that, oh, I wasn't crazy this whole time. You don't worry. He's going to vindicate us. He's going to vindicate us. I'm getting ready to head out, y'all. I got a job interview I got to get to in about an hour, hour and a half. So I got to freshen up a little bit for that. But I don't know what else to say. You know, I don't know too many people who going through the things that I'm going through would even want to share what's in my heart and in my soul and in my mind, you know, and continue to do so knowing that it's going to be overlooked and underappreciated. The people who appreciate are going to appreciate, but it's going to be overlooked and underappreciated. And we all know that. It just really is a sad thing though, you know, because I just keep thinking, I'm like, from all the people who so-called know the Bible, none of them have ever said the things that I'm saying to y'all. Not one of them. They don't say these things because they don't know. You have people who want to take people across the world in 180 days or in 80 days, whatever, right? Around the world in 80 days. That's what they want to do. And they don't realize, like, hey, just tell the people what they need to hear. I've been going on and on and on and on, y'all. But I just had to say, like, you know, it's as easy as it looks as far as just reading to the people, but it's way harder than it seems to constantly remind myself that these are different places in time, separated from one another. There might be a place and time speaking on another place and time, and I have to be able to keep all these things in conjunction so that way I don't lie to you, especially purposely. You know what I mean? That's why I always, when I catch myself, what I think is, if I'm not telling you, if it's what I'm saying is not true or what's written down, right? It's a lie. So that's why I have no issue saying, oh, I lied, even if it's just a matter of reading words, because I lied. If you didn't tell the truth, you lied. That's that. It's that simple. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I'm at with my people. Do y'all believe I'm telling y'all the truth, that we're supposed to get up out of here, that we're not supposed to stay here? You think I'm lying to you? Do you? That's a question I want y'all to answer to yourselves. Do you think I read the scripture? Do you think I'm going to read the rest of it tomorrow or the day after? Most likely tomorrow. The rest of it? The rest of the Pentateuch, of the first 5 books of the Bible. The only 5 books that really truly matter. If you want to be specific and wanted to say that you could throw out all the prophecies, every last one of them, and just go by the first 5 books, and I guarantee you could make it to heaven if you just lived in the first 5 books and didn't do anything else. That's a fact. You can't say that about any other part of the scripture. Hey, black people, I salute you. Appreciate your time. Spiritual Gumbo.